Well, hopefully we're live. Hi, everybody. Let me see if we're live or not. I've been having trouble with this phone, man. This one phone here has been driving me crazy. So let's see if we're live. I don't even know if we're live at this point. There we go. Let's make sure we're here. There I am. Gonna wave real quick, make sure I'm live. Let me make sure I'm live. I can double check on my Android. Give me a second. Welcome, everybody. Very frustrating with whatever's going on with this iPhone. Let me see if I wave. Okay, we're live. All right, I'm going to head over to TikTok. Let me get my stuff started on TikTok so we can get moving here. Welcome, everybody. I know it's late. I apologize. This is one of those days that, I don't know, sometimes you're just feeling it, and some days you're not. Today I was tired. I did that book read. Let me see if I can do the Christmas Vacation House. And I was just so tired. See if I can squeeze the word build in here. I did. Good. Okay, let me pick a gold to go for a gold tonight. Good to see everybody. I hope you're here. Someone's watching. Okay, that's always good. Let me get this started over here for TikTok, and we'll get going here, okay? Oh, my. But it was one of those days where, I don't know, nothing seemed to work. You know what I mean? I'll do the chocolate sundae. We'll do 10 of those. I'm all about chocolate today because I need to have it today. So I hope your stream holds. That's all I can say right now. It's been, for some reason, other than doing it on my PC, it's been the stream's been real shaky when I do it like off that phone. So I don't know what the problem is. You know, other than doing it off my PC, which was no problem at all today. So I don't know what its issue is. So that's all I can do. The best I can do. So, like, if you get a blue screen of death, like you did the other day, there's nothing I can do to stop it. Because that was pretty bad the other day. All right, let me get TikTok started and we'll get going here. We're in a good position with this. I want to show you the new one I bought for Valentine's Day, because we do have one gingerbread house for Valentine's Day that we're going to be working on, like we did that the year before last. All right, let me go live over here on TikTok and we'll get going here. It's not like TikTok's perfect because they've been having their problems. Okay, here we go. I see it's lagging on TikTok tonight too. Well, what else is there? Hopefully it straightens out. All right, everybody, welcome. Welcome. So what I wanted to share with you was I did go out. I got a gingerbread house for $3.99 on sale. And it's a plain house, which is fine because we're going to be using it for Valentine's Day. Because last year we did a Valentine's Day build and it turned out really nice. I want to turn you guys up over here so you can hear me. There we go. Turn you guys up over here so you can hear me. Okay. So I'll show you what it looks like. And this will be the Valentine's Day build for us. I hope I don't break it picking it up like this. See, it looks like that. I hope it's not cracked anywhere because that would be very bad. So that'll be the Valentine's Day house. Put that over here. But our thing that we're working on right now is the National Lampoon Christmas Vacation House. And we got all the windows done the other day. And I'll show you. Got all those windows done. And so now I can start working on the gray parts like the shutters and the steps coming down for the front door. Now, what I'm thinking is I don't have the supplies that they have at the super bakeries like the ones on TV. But I'm thinking that I can layer the steps to make the steps more 3D looking. I should be able to layer them pretty well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try. We'll do one layer on the steps, and then we'll leave it alone, and then we'll turn around and do a second and third layer to make it more 3D. So like the one that's up directly against the door is going to be the lightest layer. Then you'll have a heavier layer on the second one, and then a heavy layer on the third one to make it look like it's steps going up. Okay. So anyway, here's where we were. Did these windows, right? We did all these windows. I'm going to put those over here. We'll probably have to do some fixes on them, but it's okay. See, like that right there, all these windows are done. And all these windows are going to have shutters. So we're going to be dealing with shutters too to make. See right here? That's all the front door area. the side of the house, the back of the house. And I'm sorry for being so late. Like I said, I did my 12 o'clock show. I intended to be back in here at 4 p.m. Pacific to do this. But man, it's like I was tired. If you heard me read during that 12 o'clock show, I was really tired. I was slurring my words. I was so tired. I was forcing myself to read the book. So that was no bueno. No bueno. So then again, here's this one that's on the corner eve of the house. So then I have these, and I'm thinking this is probably going to have to be white as well. I'll cross that bridge when I get it. As you can see, this is where the one broke. So I bought glue for that, so we're going to be fixing that up. And the house is really an interesting build when you get right down to it. All right, so we're going to work on the gray today. I bought those paintbrushes, so we have paintbrushes, plenty of paintbrushes to work with to do the gray. And again, like I said, I'm going to try and make it so that it's like all in layers. You know, so you can so it piles up on each other, on top of each other for layers. Hey TikTok, how goes it? Hello Nisha, hello everybody. Good to see you all. We're doing the cookie house build. And I do have a request. I'm trying to collect 10 chocolate sundaes over there on TikTok. If you could help me out with that, that would be great. If not, like, follow, share. We're just trying to get attention on this thing. And we're trying to get as many likes as possible tonight. So help me out with that. No background music today because we are on the other two networks, the other two apps, and they do not like me using background music at all. It lights it up like a Christmas tree. Okay, so we're not going to go there. All right, so let me get this thing so you guys can see what I'm doing. Let me put this up here. There we go. See, it's our work area. And then we'll take a look at this. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. In the pictures, this looks brown, but it's the gray. It's the gray for the for the steps and everything, and I'll show you. So it looks like that. See? So that's what I mean. I think we'll be able to take that gray frosting and layer it to make it look like it's more 3D. Okay? What I find interesting too is I'm looking at, there's shutters on this house up on these upper windows. They're not very big shutters, but there are shutters on. It's gray painted in between, so that's not too bad because it's right between them. So that's not bad. And the top of that that one window, the kitchenette window, I call it kitchen, but the top of that bay window is also gray. So I'll have to figure out how they did that. All right, so let's start with the steps on the front. Okay, we'll start with those and take it from there today. Oh. But I apologize. I had every intention of getting in here early, but man, I was so tired after I got done. I had a 2 o'clock appointment to cancel out, and then after I got done, I sat down, watched a little TV, and slept for an hour and a half. I was that wiped out. So we're back. Okay, let me open up some paintbrushes here. I bought like 3 sets of these because I knew, working with frosting, they're going to get ruined. So, and they're cheapies. They're like, dollar store. Oh, Kathy, if you're listening, no rocks at dollar store yet. But what happened this Christmas was that some of the Christmas candy hadn't come in yet either. And so as time got closer to Christmas, like my favorite peanut butter clusters showed up at the dollar store. So just a heads up. We were talking about that last night. There we go. All right, so let's see if we can get this stuff going. Here is the gray. They didn't give us a lot of gray. So I'm thinking we have like 1 or 2 shots at doing this. Hi, Pamela. Again, sorry for running late. I just wasn't feeling it. And then before I came in here, I knew I had to feed my cats. And nothing's ever easy in life. You think, okay, I'm going to go feed the cats. Boom, 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 I'll be done. The next thing I know is I have to, all their water bowls are messed up, so I have to clean their water bowls and do big cleanups on them before I can even come in here. Hi, Maui. Welcome, everybody. So anyway, I did buy Pamela for $3.99. I got our Valentine's gingerbread house kit. It's very sparse, which is good. I was over at the dollar store looking at their candy today to see what we could put in there. No psychic readings tonight, to let you guys know, the ones that are coming to TikTok. No psychic readings tonight. Okay. We're just doing we're working on this cookie house. Oh, that core water is good stuff. Good stuff. So again, we're going to be working on the gray parts now. I just want to make sure that going up the back at the top of that house, or the top of the door, isn't gray. I don't see it as being gray. It looks like cookie to me. So, okay, so let's just look at that. All right, I'm going to pull this in. So this part that's curved up here, I don't want to break any of these and fly off. This part that's curved up here is gray. Okay, just like the steps are. So like I said, they've got like 4 steps coming out of this house, or 3 steps. So I'm going to try and see if I can't. Yeah, there's 3 steps. And I can see where they are right there. So what I'm going to try, like I said, what I'm going to try and do is, I'm going to try and do it. We'll see if I can do it. And then what we'll do is we'll paint them gray today, and then we'll let it dry, and then we'll add another layer of gray as the steps go down, so you get that 3D effect on this. Oh, and by the way, Cousin Eddie's RV is on its way, the model. And I don't know how big this house is. The RV itself is 10 inches long, 4 inches wide, and I think it's like 2 and 3 inches high. It's one of these Brio things, and as it's 500 some odd pieces, it will take us forever. But hopefully it's kind of more in line with the size of this house. And then my friend was also talking about a Cousin Eddie figurine, so I don't know about that one either. I think it's the one of Cousin Eddie emptying the all the nasties into the sewage. I think that's the one. All right, so let's see what we can do here and get that painted. Start that project. But like I said, one thing led to another, and it was like, that's how my day went. And I knew I went to take care of my cats, and lo and behold, they needed more than I thought they needed. So that took time to clean both their food bowls and the water bowl. My female cats are slobs. My male cat is really clean. The 2 females are slobs. It's my females are a black cat and a gray tabby. They're slobs. Now my big ginormous black cat male, he's really clean and tidy, but they're just slobs. You go look at their water, and I think they're dumping their food in there all the time. It's always yellow. It's got yellow chunks in it. You know, that kind of thing. They're not throwing up. It's just them doing that. Hi, April. Welcome. Hi, Elaine. So this is my night off from readings. If I don't take a night off, I'm like Jello. To give you an idea how tired I was this morning, which is why I'm really late, I'll just say that again. When I got up, it was around 8 o'clock. I have a friend that's doing a writer's seminar once a week. And so once a week we get together, and a bunch of us talk about our writing project, which I have 2 books planned. I do have 2 books planned. And wow, this stuff is really thick, man. And I do have 2 books planned. Didn't think it was that thick. Well, that's promising. It's thick, but I may have to resort to a toothpick. So we were talking about our books and stuff that we have in our projects, and she asked me what mine were, and I'll tell you guys, I have a paranormal book coming out. It's about going from a non-believer into a believer, and from the perspective of being a award-winning journalist, doing crime beats and all that. That's coming out. And my father, and I hope this helps somebody else. My father, if I could just get this on there, yeah, was not the easiest individual to take care of when he was sick, towards the end of his life. And my mother was so easy compared to my dad. My dad was, So I decided to write this book, and I don't want to offend. It's not so much, and I'm going to say this nicely. I have 2 families, essentially, because my father was married before. So you've got my regular family who have been with me and around me and raising me and all that. And then you've got the other family, the kind of outside family that was on the perimeter all these years. And they didn't live with him. They had no idea, what was going on with him at all. So that's, I'm looking at maybe offending them with this book, even though it's not meant to be offensive. It's a story of taking care of a very difficult senior citizen. And he was extremely difficult to take care of. And so I'm trying to call it, I don't know, the working title I have now is Bringing Up Daddy. And like I said, it's all about taking care of someone who's difficult to take care of. So I don't know how it's going to be taken or anything, but I'll have his history and all that in there, his life, because he had a really cool life. Now, the other book, again, is from my perspective, being a paranormal investigator, becoming a paranormal investigator. I grew up in a haunted house. I saw things in the house that I believed. No, I didn't believe. I thought I was dreaming. I always thought it was a dream. Always thought I was having nightmares. And didn't realize, what it was until I started doing stuff with paranormal groups. And then I realized that I had abilities and things like that. So it's me going from, being a journalist and a crime court reporter, to top it off, and then looking at things logically. Thank you for the share. Looking at things logically and then turning into someone that believes and ghostly activity and ghosts. Because I believe, I'm going to tell you flat out whether you think I'm crazy or not. I believe. And this house is a great example of that. There's been times where I've been doing my live show on TikTok. And people have seen a black cat walk across my shoulders. And that black cat is the grandmother, or is she? Let me think. She's the auntie to my big black cat that I have. Now, the other black cat and the tabby that I have in there, those are her grandkids. Those are her grandchildren. I think. Let me think. Yeah, those are her grandchildren. But anyway, this black cat, and at one point I was helping feral cats. I had a bunch in my yard. First time we felt sorry for him because we were cleaning my yard out, my friend and I, and this little orange tabby goes by. Real cute cat. And we thought, oh my God, there's kittens out here. Not realizing the whole feral kitten thing, And so the next thing we knew, after him, about a week later, we found more. And it went from there. Anyway, so this particular little black feral girl was really friendly. And and I knew they were wild, and I knew, you walk up on them, they run away from you because they're afraid of you. And she scared the heck out of me because one day she just walked up to me and started rubbing against my legs. And it scared me, and I thought, oh my God. I stood there, I did not move because I didn't know what to do. Because I thought maybe she'd bite me or something. And she didn't, so she became my outside cat. Because at that time I couldn't have cats inside. So she became my outside cat. And of course, this neighborhood, it's a weird neighborhood for that sort of thing. I don't want to talk about it too much on TikTok because I get mad, but let's just say they would disappear after 6 or 7 months. We'll just say that. But she stuck around for like a year, and I think she got into some rat poison, and I think that's what took her out, finally. And I see her ghost in my backyard. If I'm sitting out there at night, she'll come out of this particular bush by where I like to sit, and she'll walk across in front of me. It's really cool. But she's the one that people say they see inside the house. Over my shoulder, during the shows and stuff. And you'll occasionally hear a dog bark in here. There's no dog. The dog is in a cage in her crate down the hall. One night we were in here and sounded like some cards were shuffling, really loud. Like there was some shuffling going on. Extremely loud. So you'll see that in here. That's how active the house is. Okay, I think we got this first layer done. Hot diggity. Right there. That one's going to be the shortest because it's right under the door. So you'll see stuff like that. Apparitions, lots of apparitions in this house. They're all family members. I've only had a couple times where I brought something home that didn't belong here, and I knew it, and I saw it, and chase it out of here. But for the most part, it's all family members that like to hang out, which is fine. I have no problem with it. There's a motto in this house that I know you're here. I know you're here. Don't come out and scare. Don't scare me deliberately or anything like that. And that's what we live by here in this house because of the activity so much. I think this is like gel. This does not act like frosting. This has to be gel. But a lot goes on here. So anyway, even as a kid, I thought I was seeing things. And so I didn't pay attention to it until I got much older. When I started investigating the paranormal, I knew that I hadn't been seeing things as a kid. So then I started to work on my abilities. So you watch this long enough, you're bound to see stuff happening behind me, or you'll see orbs bouncing off my back. One night, I was stressing out, and I guess my dad came to help because what I was being told was that they could hear his voice comforting me, or trying to comfort me. They could hear his voice trying to comfort me, and I couldn't hear it, but everybody else on TikTok could hear it. So that was something that had gone on that I wasn't aware of. So I got to take my glasses off to do this. Believe it or not, I got to bring this in. It shouldn't have gone out that far because it's only up to there. So that's some history of the house, and it is active. I mean, it's true, it's active. Very active house. My dad used to see stuff. There was one time my mom, but I don't know if she made them or bought them, but they were felt roses made out of felt. And she had like 2 of them, and she had them in a vase up on what we call our divider, because we have like a divider that runs between my living room and my kitchen area. And it was up there, and he was sitting up at what we call the breakfast bar, the breakfast nook. And he got all excited. And I said, "Dad, what's going on? What's wrong?" He says, "Didn't you see that? Didn't you see that?" I said, "Well, what am I supposed to see?" And he said, "Well," he says, that vase lifted up off the ground, lifted up, and the flowers came out, stood up like this, and went sideways, and then fell to the ground." So he was seeing stuff in here. Hi, Granny. Welcome. I know for a fact that there is a gentleman in my dining room, and we have one that came with our dining room table. My parents got it used. And then there's another gentleman that hangs out in my dining room in the den. And he originally died on the property. Because at one time, this was Old River. The American River came all the way up to this area here before they put the dams in. And so he had been fishing, and he fell. The one the one that goes back and forth, the one that fell isn't very friendly. He because he bled out, so he went crazy. So he's not very friendly. I haven't seen him in a while, thank God. But I remember when I did see him, I used to see him out of the corner of my eye. And what he would try to do was, it was like one of those movies where the jump scares, right? So as I was walking through that area, he would leap like this with his arms out trying to reach me, but he could never reach me. So I would always run. I always take off and run through there. The other one that's around the kitchen table is decent. There's what I think is an angel that's here, or a nun. And the reason why I say nun, I'll tell you why. Before we bought the house, the people that own the house, one of the daughters became a nun. And my neighbors next door, who aren't here anymore, told us stories about, I'm trying to get this to fit here. I think this is a gel. Told us stories about how the nuns would play badminton in our backyard. Yeah. And when I was younger, I would sit at that bar because I was a latchkey kid, right? Because my mom and dad, hey, Kathy, my mom and dad were working. Thank you for the sundae. Yeah. Thank you. My mom and dad were working all the time until 4, 5:30. I get off school 1, 2 o'clock. And so I'd make myself some top ramen or a sandwich or something. And I would sit down at the bar and just eat. And I could look straight into my backyard from the bar, from the kitchen. And one day, I must have been probably about 14. And one day I saw what looked like what we think a ghost looks like. There was a head that was real light colored, and the rest was all white, like a big white skirt. And it flew from the end of my divider into my fireplace. And it kind of shook me, right? I wouldn't go around there for a while. And then a few years later, I saw it go back the other way, the opposite way. So now, as I think back and knowing what I know, hi, how's it going, Shirley's? As I think back and knowing what I know about, investigating like I do, I think like it was one of the nuns. They used to play, or it's the woman that was the nun that lived here. And my fireplace is the doorway. That's where they all come through is that fireplace. Thank you for the good popular. Thank you. Popular. So there's quite a few here. My grandmother, there's a spoon in my, and we've kept it for years. My mom wanted it, But there's a spoon in my silverware drawer that my grandmother had at her house. And my grandmother, the funniest thing about it is, in my kitchen, my grandmother to this day rules the roost in my kitchen. People have seen my grandmother standing in my kitchen. Nothing to fear there. My grandmother was a curandera, so that's cool. So I have no fear on that one. Various dogs. My mom's Chihuahua in particular used to have a bell around her neck. And one day I was really sick. I was home alone. My parents were out of town. And this is like, in my later years. And I was laying in bed and I could hear a bell coming up the hallway. And you could hear her as she took the steps. You could hear her stepping down because her claws were clicking on the floor. Thank you for the Sunday bowl. Thank you. Her claws were clicking on the floor as she came up the hallway. But you could also hear the bell every time she stepped down. So I knew it was her. It was that dog, that came. I see my Kelpies. I see my Maddie Kelpie. My dog Maddie. I see Reba, the other Kelpie I had. I see them all the time. I'll go in my kitchen or someplace thinking that, and knowing that I have Gypsy locked up. And I'll go in my kitchen and I'll see a Kelpie butt go around the corner, or I'll see a Kelpie head coming, peering at me around the corner. And then at first I think, well, gee, I wonder if Gypsy got out. And then I remember that Gypsy's locked up. So it was one of the Kelpies from before, that kind of thing. So it's very active. And the open doorway, I've had psychics come in here and you stand at my front door. If you're sensitive, it's going to hit you hard. You're going to feel the breeze from where they're coming through out of my fireplace. Very, 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 very busy house. Like a ghostly freeway. So it's never quiet here. You'll hear voices, you'll hear different things here. But I'm used to it. Like I said, there's only one that's ever been kind of aggressive, and that's that one that is still trying to jump out at me. But I haven't seen him for a while, so I'm kind of glad. It almost looks layered. But it can get exciting here, especially late at night. I remember when I was first starting to be a ghost investigator, first getting into it, and I remember how my abilities were starting to come out, because I was around other psychics. And I'd be sitting watching TV, because I used to work the night shift at this place. I get home around 2, 3 in the morning, be sitting in the living room watching TV, and I could hear, because we had that bar area again. We had bar stools in there that would squeak, and I could hear them moving like someone was sitting on them, going like this, sitting on them and turning, and you could hear that all night. Or the TV would come on and off. TV would turn itself on and off. Even when you were watching it, the TV would turn itself off on you. So that kind of thing goes on. But I'm used to it now. And now my mom's here, my mom and my brother and my uncle, and it's one big party. I think this is chill. It's like one big ghosty party. Kind of like Disneyland, right? The Haunted Mansion. Room for one more, honey, And my mom's around the holidays. She loves the holidays. And when she passed away, I wanted to make sure I knew it was her when she was visiting. So I gave her a bath and I bathed her in a certain soap that has a certain smell to it. And so when she comes around, I can tell it's her by the scent. And I, like at Halloween, when I get my stuff done at Halloween or Christmas, and I go out front to check it out, my mother comes out. You can tell because you can smell her. Kind of cool. The night she died, after they had taken her, my friends were here with me, and I could smell my mother was walking around the living room. And one of my friends looked at me and she said, "You smell that?" And I said, "Yeah." And you could just tell where my mother was, what way she was walking and all that stuff. It was nice. Again, you realize that death's not the end. This is Jill, by the way. That death is not the final end. I mean, that's just part of the story of what we go through before we transcend. Do I do EVP work here? No, I don't. I don't want to know who they are. I'm fine with them. I think I did one thing. I did a promo with Monica when she was still with me, still alive. And we actually picked up my father's voice. We were down here at the end of the hallway. And I was doing some shooting for a teaser promo, like for an intro for a show to introduce, because at that time we were on public access TV, to introduce my ghost hunters. And you definitely could hear my dad talking about who's this in the hallway. You could hear his voice. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome. So it's an interesting place to live, to say the least. But like I said, we have an agreement. That's how I can tell whether it's a family member here or it's not. And we have that whole "I know you're here, I know you're here, don't scare me" agreement. And so they don't. My mother is very comforting. In fact, I've had a couple of dreams. I've had arguments with my mother in dreams this last couple of nights. And I got to find out where that's coming from. I must be frustrated about something and not realize it. Because my mother and I very seldom argued. We got along great. Okay, so this looks almost like that, but they've got it more layered. But I'm just thinking, I don't know if there's a way to. I think this is gel, so I don't know if there's a way to soften this any more than I have. But it seems like it's working okay. I just think this is that gel stuff because it doesn't have the texture of frosting. I'll show you what I did. But it's a very active house. I mean, you'll hear stuff during the shows that goes on. Sometimes they'll turn my spotlights off. They'll do things. I still suspect that other gingerbread house that we were almost done with, I think someone was messing with me with that, and they pushed the roof in. Thought it was funny. Oh, my debit card. That's one where they thought they were having a good old time. Lost my debit card and couldn't find it. Looked everywhere. I have a couch that eats things. I'm sure you have a couch that you must have a couch in your life that eats things. And so, of course, the first reaction is to go to the couch and see what the heck's going on, right? So I flipped it over. I'm looking for everything. Couldn't find it. Sat down, was looking on the couch all over the place, checked my bag, drove to different stores to see if somebody had it. Came home, canceled the card, ordered a new one, which took 10, 15 days to get here. And I happened to get up and start walking across the room. And I turn around and there's the card laying there playing to stay on top of my jacket. Too late. Had to wait 10 days for my new card. That wasn't very nice. But I'm sure somebody I'm sure somebody in the afterlife was having a good laugh about that. But that's what happens here. The dog is forever. I think it's another dog though, but the dog is forever climbing up on the couch and looking over the back. I have a recliner back there, and we had one dog that used to lay in there all the time, and so I'm thinking that's who she's seeing. But she gets up on the back of the couch and she's always leaning back to see who's in that recliner. Or she'll be sitting. I can tell when someone comes in here, probably my mom, because she'll be sitting on the couch and then she'll start sniffing the air. The dog will. Well, thank you. Wow, 7,000. Keep it up, guys. But she'll start sniffing the air. That's how I know there's someone here. More likely my mom because of the scent thing. This room is very active. The other studio is very active. That's where my dad was. In fact, my dad, when he was getting to the point, when people start getting to that old age and they start getting to that one point, they start seeing stuff all the time. And for like a year before or 2 years before my dad passed, he was seeing someone in the bathroom mirror because the wall in there where he was facing this direction like I am now, but there's a bathroom right there. And so the bathroom was always open. There was no door because my dad had to have a walker. So we had to keep it clear for him to walk. And he was saying how he would see a woman standing in the mirror. He'd never see her, but he would see her reflection in the mirror as she walked by. So one night we went ahead, set up paranormal equipment in there. My dad stayed up all night with the digital voice recorder and EMF meter, and he was bound determined to get some evidence, and she didn't show that night. But he had activity in there that he was well aware of, because his stuff was winding down. And I remember after he passed, when I moved my stuff in there I went from this office, because it's a small office, into the bigger office with my ghost equipment. And I remember sitting there always looking over my shoulder because somebody, I couldn't figure out if it was a man or a woman, but somebody was in that bathroom watching me all the time. So, and it wasn't BS because I knew somebody was there. And after a while, they left. I think it was one of my aunts from my dad's side, one of my dad's sisters, is who I suspect it was. But, yeah, it's an active house. My mom even saw stuff in this house and wouldn't admit it. Now, later on, when she got older, she was a really good psychic. My mom was. And she would go on ghost hunts with us, and she would see stuff that nobody else saw. And she helped us. She helped us on a lot of ghost hunts. But she would see stuff all the time. And I remember taking her to the doctor, and like the ER doctors when we had to go to the ER, and they would ask me if she was hallucinating. I didn't know what to tell them, because to me she wasn't hallucinating. I mean, it was just what we do here. But they wanted to know if she was hallucinating, and I would stand there dumbfounded, thinking, well, should I tell him what's going on, or he'll think I'm crazy. Crafts, thanks, Kathy. Boy, it's warm in here tonight, I'll tell you. Really warm in here. I'm gonna have to it is really warm. This room is really hot tonight. Must be cold outside because the furnace must be hitting. But that only happens when the furnace is slamming. Let me get some things here. Let me get a cold compress here, because it is warm. We're not like a life tonight in here. Okay. All right. There we go. We need plenty of water. Stay hydrated. Now I can go. Oh, yeah. Oh, mama. That feels good. It is just really warm in here. You got to figure, I've got two big, huge spotlights in here. Furnace, this is the warmest room in the house, which is why my mother was always in here. So it gets hot in here. Okay, So that doesn't look too bad. I'm sure it could look better, but again, this is not. I am not the lady from TV that does this stuff. I've seen those people on TV that do this stuff. I mean, this is gel. I mean, obviously it's gel. They even have a model of the family truckster. I saw. Same company. Puts out a model of the family truckster. Amazing. How many years ago did they make that movie? That's what I find amazing. And to think that, there's still people still love that movie. The original one, and then Vegas was funny. Gotta give Vegas credit. Vegas was funny. But Christmas Vacation was real funny, and the original Vacation was fantastic, You're right, I thought it'd be a simple thing to use the paintbrush to get up there and do that stuff. And it's not even close. It's going to have to all be done with a toothpick. You watch, in about an hour, it'll cool down in here. The final cool down starts, because then the house will lose its heat in here. And plus, that thing will be done heating everything up. Because that's how it is every night. Okay, so that's what I can do on here for now. Then we'll try and do a layer thing on it. But this is like gel. Oh, man. It doesn't want to get off the toothpick either. Okay. There we go. All right. Sure, I'm doing it right, too, before I get ahead of myself. Let's light it on over. TikTok, I'm still here. There we go. I can't make up my mind whether. No, I think we're okay. We don't have to fill that in. The top of that stays white. Okay, so we're gonna do the top of the other where the windows are. Right there. There's no shutters around these windows, are there? No. Just the top part is that gray color. Okay. All right. So how was everybody's Sunday? Everybody have a good Sunday? Nice, quiet post-holiday Sunday. Yeah, that looks decent. Not bad. Seen better, but hey, I'm not the cake boss. It is warm in here, I'll tell you for sure. All right, let's get some more of this going. And then I think I have to put shutters between those windows up there. Yeah. Got it. Okay. We'll do this and then we'll put the shutters in. Christmas Vacation. Na na na. Do 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 do. Do 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 the Christmas Vacation. I think this might be overkill this time. I tell you, this isn't frosting. This is that other stuff. See how it doesn't want to even mix, cooperate. That's why I think it's gel. But we'll work with it because that's what I do. I work with things. I make them work. I make the impossible possible. There we go. It's a bummer we can't have music on, but can't do that. I mean, if we were just solely on TikTok, we could. But we're not solely on TikTok, so we can't do that. But like tonight, I need to take a night off readings. My mind gets like jello if I don't. So normally what we would do is I'd read from six to 7, and that's the end of my night. Thanks for the rose. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Keep tapping that screen, everybody. Show me some love. Pamela, how's the weather where you're at? Is it snowing? Is it snowing anywhere? I know it's snowing up in the mountains up here. Out here, boy. We got us a lot of snow. Tahoe's getting full of snow. Donner Pass is getting full of snow. The winter has started. This is the most weather. You know, it's funny because last year we had the high winds about this time, but so far this is the most bad weather we've had in like 2 or 3 years to hit like this. Thank you for the follow. Thank you so much. It's been some wild weather. At least what I'm seeing now, it's all clear for a while. But just think, the weather that we get here, you guys, will shoot across the U.S. So whatever the West Coast gets, you guys are all going to eventually get. This week above freezing. Okay, so social media. See, that's the issue with us too. Is it snows here once in a blue moon because it's too cold to snow. It's way too cold to snow here. So it's like once in a blue moon we get snow. Sometimes it's hard for people to wrap their head around that. You know, how can you not get snow? How can it be too cold to snow? Because the cold you get has to be a damp cold. If it's a dry cold, there's no way for because the snow, rain becomes snow. Rain becomes snow. So if it's too cold to snow, the rain will turn into ice. Or the water, the water turns into ice. It has to be a certain combination of temperatures to create snow. It has to be warmer to create snow for the rain to get like that. It's just, the whole thing's weird. The whole thing, how it works is weird. But yeah, here everything freezes. Okay, this is now it's starting to cool down and feel the difference on my face and everything. It starts to cool. Hell, I always have a brag like that when I'm working in here at night for the first hour, so I have to have it cool in here because it's not cool enough in here. Now, when I didn't have heat for a while there last season, I didn't need it in here because all I had to do was turn those lights on, and those lights would heat it up in here. Even when it was down to like 25, those lights would heat it up in here and keep it warm. Like I could turn the lights on, walk out of here, and come back in 15, 20 minutes later, and the room felt really perfect. Hi, Kathy, welcome. Okay, so we got that done. Let me get one more spot kind of bugging me. This stuff likes to squeeze on its own. It's kind of scary. It's like that movie, The Blob. This looks kind of wimpy right here. There we go. Reminds me of The Blob because it just keeps coming. I don't think I'll be going to the see Stranger Things. I think I'll wait for it to come out. That last episode. I hear it's a really good episode, that they did it correctly, like a show should do it, but I don't think I'm going to rush out and see it. There we go, I'll show you this. See, we got that done now. Got the doorways. See how the doorway's coming along. Look. See how the doorway's coming along? All I know is I'll sleep really well tonight. I got some weight inside the doorway, okay? I got this, okay. All right. Then we'll try to get back out around 2 p.m. tomorrow. We'll see what happens on my schedule to get back in and doing this tomorrow. So we'll start doing this thing. See how it doesn't stick? It's why I'm telling you, it's not frosting. This is like gel. See how it squeezes out like that? Try and leave it on there. I tried to get out here yesterday too. I was tired yesterday. That was part of why we didn't do this yesterday. Hadn't slept much. The male cat outside was making us all crazy. My dog was sleeping all day because she couldn't sleep at night because she was laying by the back door all the time, keeping an eye on that cat. And then we had the girl cats for yelling back at him because they didn't like him near the window. And then we had my male cat was having a fit because, of course, it's another male cat out there. So it's been like a zoo the last 2 weeks. We're not on screen anymore? I can't check because it'll knock me off TikTok. So you might have to go in and come back out, Pamela. Can you see me now? Yeah, I can't go back in and check because it'll knock me off of TikTok. I don't know why there's such an issue with it this way because when I do it like for my regular radio show, there's not a problem. I'm doing the regular podcast. Everybody over at the other two networks, can you see me? I can't mention where it is. Can you see me all right? I swear there's a timeout. I don't know if Pamela can see me or not. Pamela, can you hear me? Okay, so you can't see? Okay. I want to refresh over there. Here we go. Last time I tried to refresh, it turned into a nightmare. Let me refresh. No guarantees I'll be. Okay, there we go. That should put us back. All right, there we go. There we go. So let me back in. Didn't do that yesterday. Went to a blue screen of death, and that was the end of that. Christmas vacation. Me, I'm just waiting for the Mandalorian and Grogu. That's what I'm waiting for. I've got my Disney Channel. I'm watching like the Mandalorian, but I'm getting withdrawals from the Mandalorian. Hi, Kim Henry. Hello. Give us a like, follow, share, you guys. Give us a like, follow, share. See how many likes we can get tonight. Can you see me now, Pamela? I feel like the Verizon guy. Why this thing has to refresh all the time? Shouldn't be that way. Could be the iPhone too. I mean, my iPhone is so old. Okay, cool. Yeah, my iPhone is so old, so it could be the iPhone. It could be any number of things. In fact, remember to always change your batteries out of your cell phones and your Kindles and all that. Learn the hard way. My iPhone is open on one side. It's about a 30th third of an inch open on one side that's popping off. That's because I never changed the battery since I've had the iPhone. And the battery is starting to expand because all the acids in there. And so it's expanding. And so I'm going to have to get a new iPhone. Well, not a new iPhone, but a new battery. All right. Thank you, Pamela. So the side of it, so it tends to get hot, especially in the hot weather. If I take it out, it gets whiter it's on the left side. It gets whiter on the left side because of that. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see you all. Funny, no one's come in to tell me to take my vitamins yet. I'm so used to you guys coming in telling me it's vitamin time. You're slacking. Then on my upgrade phone, I'm deciding I'm going to pay this other phone off and figure out if I'm going to get an upgrade or just start another plan phone. That way I have 3 phones. I can keep this Android. Because my iPhone really does need, even though it has a great camera on there, it really does need to retire. My iPhone needs to go to retirement. It needs to go to that iPhone retirement place in the sky. Can't take it out in the summer. Can't take it out when it's raining because the water will get into it. Can't take it anywhere. And it's going to cost like $100 to have that battery taken out and put back in. And put a new battery in because they have to reseal the iPhone itself. So I got to seriously think about all this. I'm not an Android person. I got Android the last time because that was the affordable way to do it. But I'm in this debate because if I get an iPhone 17 or an iPhone 16, 17, the screens are smaller. And I'm really enjoying this Android because I can see y'all. I can see over there, but I can still see y'all better over here on this screen. However, this camera on here is like a basic camera on that Android, where the iPhone has the really good camera. Like if I shoot anything in the house, like when I start doing my cooking, my low sodium cooking stuff for people, for you guys, it's all going to be shot on the iPhone. Much better camera situation. But that's way in the future, I just thoughts. Right now I want to focus on keep building up the TikTok show and get my podcast back up and running and take it from there, you know what I mean? And just focus on things that I need to do. Like I've had requests to get a PO box, working on that right now. Someone wants to get Amazon wish list, working on that right now. Bunch of little things. Gonna start psychic development classes for you guys, ghost hunting classes, take you on ghost hunts, take you to different places, like the Walt Disney Museum in San Francisco. Maybe go to San Jose, the Egyptian Museum. That'd be kind of fun. So things like that. Just things. I always wanted that. I never did that when I went to the Egyptian Museum, but I always wanted to take one of my people, one of my really good psychics off my team, to see what would happen if the mummy would communicate with them. I was always curious about that. If when they go into a museum like that, if the mummy communicates with them. Get this in here. Yeah, we almost got this thing done here. Hot diggity. And these are all going to be covered in lights anyway, so I'm going to be dropping those clear. Well, what's supposed to be clear lights, but it's the color of cheesecake. is what the lights are. So we're going to be dropping lights all over this thing. I'm almost ready to go make the shutters. Put that up along there. There we go. Kind of sad though. Last night I really enjoyed adding in the Christmas songs to my nightly rides across the prairie. You know, with the had some nostalgias. So it's kind of sad not doing it starting tomorrow. Trying to find some real funny love songs that I can throw in there. This corner up here, and that'll take care of that. Move up and start putting the shutters on these windows. I can't see it from that angle, but I can see it from the other angle. This angle I can't tell, but I can tell it's there. I know it's there. That side, those things, that edge is there. I just can't see it very well till I have this angle put the other way. Let's see if that's better, because that's where I'm seeing that. Yeah, see, it's right there, and it's right there on the corner, and I can barely see it when I have it the other way. There we go. Stick. There we go. Now I got it. Now we finally got it. And this edge up here should be full too. So take it all the way to the edge. Okay, let me do that. This came, well, I knew when we started this, I told you guys, oh, I got to do the puzzle over here now. See what I mean? If it's not one, like, hitting that system, there's another one where I have to do this on TikTok and line that sucker up. Did I get it? Okay. Same thing, the timeout comes up. Hi, Tensha. My producer has just joined TikTok. This should be interesting to have her on TikTok. Don't know if she's on TikTok tonight. Just joined TikTok as that she hasn't even played around with it yet. Ah, the joys. When your first few days on TikTok, you get on there and there's so much on TikTok that you don't get off of TikTok. You just sit there. You eat your meals in front of TikTok because you're watching it so much. It's just so addictive. There, we got the edge now. So I'll show you what I did. There, I'm happy now. I'm happy. At least with this part. So now we got the roof on over there now, see? There's the door, there's the window, there's that bay window. So now I have to put shutters on these windows all the way across. So, whoopee, here we go. I'm trying to look at the short window. Yes, that has shutters too. It looks like I make them wide enough to be double shutters. Now, going up the middle, I can put them between the two buildings. And when I get to this one, it's going to be a little wider situation. But this will be easy because I can put the shutters between the two windows. So that's not a problem because they go and fit right in that spot. And they're even with it. So that shouldn't be an issue. Just getting it in there. Being meticulous about lining it up. So it's actually starting to look like something now. I don't know what it was. Where are we at? Oh my God, 16,000 likes? You guys are rocking it over here. Fantastic. All right, Sundays. I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. I eat all the time. Now we'll see if I can blow up the other two networks for copyright. It's all about the chocolate. Hi, Pete Johnson. Good to see you. Hi, Sammy. So I've got Pamela in here. I've got 3 of you in there on the other two networks. Who are watching. I can't name, like I said, I cannot tell the name of the other two networks without getting in trouble. But I see you guys. All right, let's see if I can do this without making a horrendous mess. Right. Good luck with that, right? So I should be able to make this as straight as I can. Yeah, right. And Pamela, did you ever check out the 19 Save Christmas? It's like that game Operation, trying to do this without knocking everything out of the way, you know? Every time I touch a windowsill, I'm waiting for it to go, eh. You hear that buzz. We've almost got this one done, which is fine. Because remember, again, the white frosting lights are going to go right here. It's going to go on these anyway. So to get it, your best approximation. What we got? Okay, of how to put these things in between, and just go for it. Because I mean, like I said, it's just going to be covered up anyway, or they'll be under those rather. Okay, first one up. Make sure I got it. There we go. All right. There's one. That's not too bad. I've done worse. Yes, I have. Okay, got it. Now this is where I have to approximate it to be the same size. It's like the ones on the end to make the correct size on the end so that they match. And I guess the one in the middle goes all the way out too. I was looking at it wrong. So let's get the side one done. I gotta go up a little higher there too. Not bad. Looks like a 5-year-old did it, but hey, who am I anyway, right? Never said I was perfect. Never said I was like this big chef or anything. My brother-in-law from my other family used to be a lead chef for Safeway. So he could probably do these things really well. Steady hands, you know. And then when I had my babysitter, her husband, they were from Switzerland. Her husband worked for one of the local bakeries here. So I would get to go see what he was baking and stuff. But I do have a brother-in-law that's a chef. I mean, a baker. Me, I just try it. My sister's good at this stuff. I'm not. My sister can do this stuff so well. Nice, steady hands. Not me. Shut up, stomach, you ate. Dog's glaring at me, though, because I came in here, before I came in, I fed the cats. And I won't feed the dog because I have to crate her up so she doesn't get into stuff. And I didn't feed her, so she was all excited when I was feeding the cats, giving me all the lovey-dovey's, and then all of a sudden it stopped because she realized I wasn't going to feed her until after I do this tonight. So she wasn't a very happy camper. Going, I'm surprised she's not barking right now in the crate. She's probably figuring out some way, trying to figure out some way to tear something up that I need. Something that I like, right? She's going to rip it up just to get back at me. hard, but not quite as hard as I thought it would be. Should be a little bit, well, we're almost there. On the pier, it has to be a little bit wider. We're almost there on this one. I can just move on. Not bad, not bad. Here, we'll bring this in a little bit. I think we almost got this. Half gang. Gang. Good to see you all, though, on a Sunday night. Hey, no one's asked for a reading yet. That usually doesn't happen. Usually they come in, people will ask for a reading. I don't think anybody's asked for a reading yet tonight. Usually I get at least 3 or 4 people that ask to be put on the list tonight. But no one's doing that tonight, so all right, let's see what this looks like. Jack me nimble, jack me quick. Oh yeah, that's good. Not bad, not bad. I need to put a little bit more on that edge, see? Holiday row, ho 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 ho. There it goes. Not bad. I have shutters on my house too, but they're there for show. They're not like real shutters. They're just there on like on the sides of the windows for show. They're nailed so tight you can't even tie anything to them. I tried to tie my skeleton, run lines for my skeletons from the shutters, and you can't because they're strapped down so tight. So when it stormed, they'd be useless. There we go. Now it's better come down a little bit. It's nice and even. It's actually looking like a house now. See, it cooled down. See, I'm not sweating anymore? Temperatures just cooled down in the house and outside. So now I'm not sweating anymore. Just how it is. Okay, I think we got this. Okay. So it looks like this right now. So we got that. Set the shutters down. We're going to start moving across. Okay, we're going to start moving across the top here for shutters. I'm in a dollar store today, and everything's like 80% off, like the Christmas cards and all that. And I'm okay with that, I have no problem. I mean, I go in there, I buy gingerbread houses, and not there, but you know what I mean. Everything's discounted. I'm all about discounting. But this woman must have bought like 50 Christmas cards, individual types. And we're standing in line behind her, and the cashier is having to like scan every Christmas card. Oh my God, we were just standing there just going, oh my God. And finally the call goes out. Need help up front. And we were all applauding. But I mean, we stood there, and each individual card, make sure it's, we should want to, we should do our job, making sure that it had the right envelope with it and all this stuff. But oh my God, it took forever. And we're all looking at each other in line. Typical people, aren't we? Typical. Typical people. All right, let's put one over here. We'll just throw in there. And you get the people that don't say anything, but you can see it on their face. When they look up, you can just see it on their face that they're not whining, have anything to do with it, So who all is watching, and what state are you watching from? What state? I'm in California. Where are y'all from? Hi, Mohammed. Welcome back. Hi, Danielle. Welcome. Give us the like, follow, share, guys. If you like free tarot card readings tomorrow, come on down and give us the like, follow, share. And if you follow us, you'll find us right away tomorrow for your reading. Your fingers have been fall down low. That's how life is, isn't it? Oh, you dirty, miserable little wretch. Here we go. What I hit? Oh, I know. I see. Okay. Just making sure I'm doing this correctly. Yes. It's just that one's shorter. Oh, I see what they did. Okay, I got it. Okay. So I am doing it right. And the other one has to go on there and it's shorter. Well, that's easy. Okay. It has a separation in there, but that's not going to happen. Not with me, it isn't. So we're just going to go ahead and add on here. This is going to go all the way up here. Because it needs to be at the top of these anyway. Then what we're going to do is we're only going to take this down so far because we want to match it up with the bottom of this. So this is going to be thick to this point here. Right here. So it comes down here, just like this. It's going to stop right there. Because we got a double. There we go. Yeah, and then that one comes down there. So that worked out. So you can see the edge of that one. That's what we want. Dang, this stuff's going everywhere. That's why I think it's gel. Frosting's not going to do that stuff. I'm going to put a little bit more over here on this side. Make this a little wider. And we're good. Okay. And my car, I'm taking it in this week. The driver's side door gets jammed up when it rains. So, of course, I had to go out and run some errands today and got to the gas station, couldn't get out of my car. Finally did a restart, got to click through. Got that done, took off, stopped by the dollar store, couldn't get out of my car. Finally got that done. And then when I got home, I couldn't get out. So I got to have somebody look at that. So it's either something to do with, it's just sticking because the car is 2004. 26-year-old, 22-year-old car. Or it's just that because those cars are, I've noticed on different forums that those cars do that. Hello, how's it going, Vera? How are you today? Welcome. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. Not bad at all. Okay, so that's what I did. I had to line that and make it shorter. See around the shorter one, so you can tell there's two different shutters there. And I'll have to do it again on this side as I bring it across. Pamela, can you still see me okay? Quiet over there. It's quiet on that front. Very quiet. Dang, look at all this came out, guys. I had to squeeze all this out. Look at this. Holy Toledo. You guys see that? Look at how it all came out. It's all gel. Look. Yikes. What a mess. Look at how all that came out. Yikes. Okay. Let's see if we can start putting this in here. There we go. Yikes, yikes. I hope this isn't going to be one of those situations like that other house was where we get this thing on here and it's going to pop off. The other house, like the whole roof went down, everything went down. As I bring it down this way. That's as low as it's going to go because we're going to cap off right there for it. There we go, right there. Reminds me of Silly Putty. Okay, let's see if we can get this to work now the way I want it to. Nice. Cool. That looks really good, actually. Better than I thought it would. We'll get some stuff more down the middle here. I can comp it off right there. So messy. So clumpy and messy. There we go. So clumpy and messy. Good to see Kathy. Good to see you guys. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to what we call the project. Welcome to the project. See, we want to have it blocked. There we go. We almost got it. Come on, fill the hole. One more little fill and we're good on that side. That one looks lower than the other one. It is. Well, I'm going to bring it up then a little bit. Probably because I came lower with that. So we're just going to force it up a little bit. There we go. Now we fill it in. All right. Oh, there we go. Not bad. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Okay, we'll quit while we're ahead. Now let's do the other side. Quit while we're ahead, I say. I'll show you. As I said before, oh, it's already dry. Check that out. Good. We can layer it later tomorrow. That's excellent. Probably fall right off. Irritate me. See it right there? And those top where we're doing the shutters. See, we got the shutters going in. Excellent. Thank you for the Sunday bowl. I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. I eat all the time. I gotta watch what I'm doing. I'll get nailed for copyright. Can't do that anymore. I'll thank you for the Sunday bowl. You watch, I'll get nailed for copyright. Thank you for the Sunday bowl, Kathy. Thank you. See, normally we're coming up on midway through our psychic readings about this time. Instead, we're spending the evening together working on a cookie house. Believe me, between reading and this is a good wind down for me. And knowing that you guys are out there, I got 3 people at the other end watching me, which is very cool. All right, let's do this one. What would Archie say? I got 3 of yous watching. Oh, see how it's sticking? Okay, let's just get in there as close as I can get and quit while I'm ahead. I can hear Edith in my head right now. Yeah, those were the days. And that's what I didn't realize. Norman Lear, did all those comedies, all those situation comedy shows. Yeah, what struck me as funny is when they did the live Facts of Life thing. When they brought in Jennifer Aston, thank you for the donut. When they brought in Jennifer Aston to the Facts of Life and all that, and Facts of Life was also Norman Lear. And I didn't know that until I saw that, and I was shocked because they had him sitting out there. I don't remember it ever saying like Norman Lear production on the credits, but they had him sitting out there. Unless it was for the Jeffersons. See, maybe it was for the Jeffersons because they were definitely a Norman Lear. Because they were a takeoff, they were a takeoff of Old Family. So maybe that's where that connection comes in because I don't remember Facts of Life ever being considered Norman Lear. It may have been. Now the Facts of Life came about because of oh no, what's that show called? With Arnold and the brother and the Different Strokes. Because Kimberly and Different Strokes was going to Eastland School. That's how the Facts of Life came about. But I didn't know it was Norman Lear, if it was Norman Lear. To come to think of it, they did that one with the Jeffersons. The Facts of Life of the Jeffersons. So maybe, I know the Jeffersons was more than likely Norman Lear because the Jeffersons were featured on the family. So maybe that's where that came from. Not bad, not bad. So I have a ton of windows to do. Because remember, when we go to put those little lights on here, it's going to be like this. I have to drop them on individually. Doesn't want to stay. Look at this. If this dries and falls off, I'm going to be really, you know what I mean? Maybe I can just shape it. Oh yeah, see? I can use my fingers to shape this. I don't think it's frosting though. I still think it's I think it's that gel stuff. There, I got that on there. I'll use my finger on that one. That wants to be difficult. We'll just do this. And we'll shape it accordingly. Okay. See, my furnace just turned on. My hearing's working today, so I can actually hear my furnace turn on and off. I have a web, a spider web in that other office over there, and I haven't gotten rid of it. I've had the same web for years. Reason why it's there is because I can tell when the furnace is on, because the web will vibrate back and forth. My mother used to want me to take the web off, and I never took it off for that reason, so I could see when the stupid furnace is on. Now it's in my head. Archie and Edith. Those were the days. my life without music. If I'm gonna sit here, I'd either have a baseball game on, TV would be on, or some kind of thing for sound. But since, we're kind of held back for that sort of thing right now. Okay, let's see if I can get this straight out now. So this one's done. I gotta start the next one. As soon as I rip that, as soon as I get done with this, I can start the next bunch of windows. Because they're all going to be the same. Okay. All right, I think we got this one done pretty much right now. Plant that right up there. It's the first time you guys can actually see me doing what I'm doing. There we go. So now we wait for that to dry. So I'll start on another side, another set of windows here. See right here. So we got those done. All those windows are done now. So we got the front door, we got the bay window, and then we got all those top windows done, all shuttered in. Not bad. And remember, it's all going to be covered in those white lights, those light colored lights anyway. So anywhere where there's a mistake or something, it's going to be covered up anyway. So let that dry. Let me find some more windows. I'm sure I'm shuttered all the way around it. I don't see why it would be different. So like on here, I'm sure we're going to have the same shutters. Only shorter and stuff. Yeah. So I got what, 6? Over there, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 windows. Hello, Kathy. Hello, everybody. Welcome, Tiki Talk. How we doing? How's everybody doing at Tiki Talk? One follower, huh? One new follower? Wow, 263 views discovery. That's pretty cool. You guys are sharing really good. 472 of you come through so far. Okay. That's very cool. I gotta take my vitamins right now, so let me take my vitamins and we'll get back with you guys. It's that time of the night. Let me lean over here and take my vitamins. Okay. All right. So again, this stuff's almost dry. So should I do the other one that has 6 windows, or should we do one of these sides? What do you guys think? Should we put shutters on these sides, or the other one that I have more windows with? What do you guys think? See, I got 6 windows for the back part of the house. So which side should I do? Should I do this one with the back windows, or the side of the house windows? What do you guys think? What would you like to see? Getting quiet on me. Side of house? Okay. Or this side windows. Yeah, I got 8 of those to do, so we'll do the side windows. So that's not too bad. And again, any mistake that's made on here is going to be covered up because all those little white lights you see, those aren't like candy. Those are going to be put on by toothpick. Just like I'm doing right now. It's all individual little white lights going on. So it's all going to be covered up. So if there's a mistake, you can cover it all up. That's the beautiful part of this. I remember when my mom was, she worked for Pacific Bell for years, which became AT&T, blah, blah, blah. And every every year they would have a contest where they were allowed to build a float. You could enter a float, a small float, maybe about this size, like right here, maybe a little bigger. And they were allowed to enter a float for the Tournament of Roses parade. And there were judges that would judge these floats. And if they won, they got to go on an all-expense paid trip to the Tournament of Roses parade. And my mother would work on these floats. And I never got into it because I was too young. But I used to watch her. She would take like all these little flowers from Michael's, right? And all those places. And she would design these floats. And like the one she won on was the World Series one, where she had a guy, a foam guy. I don't know how she did it or how she found it, but he was pitching a baseball, and she had him up there, and she put him in Dodger blue because back then the Dodgers were dominant. And so she found little blue flowers and stuff, just like they do with for the main parade. And then she had a friend of hers that was good at wiring, so he wired it up so there were live stadium lights and all this stuff on there. And she and my dad got to go to the Tournament of Roses because she won. She won like $500 bonus or something along with it for winning. But as I'm doing this, I'm thinking about that because, like my mother used to say, if you make a mistake, you can just glue a flower in. That's what she would say. If I make a mistake, I'll glue a flower in. Like with this, if I make a mistake, I'm just going to put some type of frosting Christmas light over it, so you won't see the mistakes. But yeah, that's where I get all the art stuff from. Is my mother. My mother was constantly doing stuff. Even as kids growing up, my sister and brother and I would make ornaments for our Christmas trees, and things like that. Always doing something artsy. But my mother was extremely talented. She could do watercolors and any kind of paint. Anything she said she wanted to paint up. She could do watercolors and all that stuff. And that's where I get it from. Like I know if I was doing this and my mother was normal and not having her dementia, I'm sure she'd be like telling me what would be an easier way to do it, like how to dilute this stuff to make it go on smoother and work better. And I'll probably lay there in bed tonight and I'll be thinking about how can I dilute this to make it work better, because that's just how we are. But my mother could do all that stuff. Painting, everything. I don't do watercolors. My niece does. I don't do watercolors. I can do ceramic. Now my sister can make ceramics. I never had the patience to actually create ceramics, to make them, to have them fired and all that. Never had the patience. My sister can make great ceramics. I can do the paint. I can do the paint shades. I know how to do shading on them. I will draw. I can draw. I'm a really good artist. I'm a good photographer. I can draw. And one thing that they were proud of me at school when I was in college was that not many people can draw white charcoal on black paper, and I could do that. I could see it, probably because I was a photographer, I could see like a photo negative. And so I did like lighthouses and stuff that way in a dove. Turned out pretty. But I was really good with charcoal. I was really good with pencil work. I could draw Disney characters, like Disney animators. I mean, that kind of thing. But it all came from my mom. My dad, all he did was draw stick people. But I remember my mom doing posters for the Pacific Bell Fashion Show, and things like that. She would do all the artwork on it, on that stuff. Okay, let's start this side here. One thing, this room smells like Santa's workshop, I'll tell you that. You walk in here, I always think of the Santa Claus, that one scene where Santa Claus 3, I think it is, You just smell like a cookie. You're just a man that smells like a cookie. And when I walk in here with these houses in here, first thing I smell is the cookies. And so I always think of that, like I'm walking into Santa's workshop. But my sister was good at this stuff too. I mean, we were all good at this stuff. I mean, I'm not going to say I was the only one that was good at it because I wasn't the only one that was good at this stuff. My sister did really good stuff too. Like I said, ceramics. Oh my God, my sister could get on a pottery wheel and just make neat, really cool things. On me, I get on the pottery wheel, everything falls down. It's not happening. I don't have the patience for that. Now, if I was able to get it and trim the stuff off to make it into what I wanted to do, like with a trimming knife, I'm fine with that. But to sit there and twirl it around and have the patience, no. No, but I have patience for something like this. It's amazing my OCD doesn't go into overdrive with a project like this. All right, let me put this edge on there. That'll take care of that. Put it on this edge right here. Just make it a little wider. Otherwise, we're going to be going off the side of the building, and we don't want to do that either. But there's a lot of vases in my house that my mother kept that I had done, with pre-made ceramics and then firing them all and everything after painting them up and stuff. The work I did on my Christmas village, that stuff's still around. That village is still around. See how that looks. Is that passable? Oh, almost. Looks like one spy's on a diet. No, we almost got this. looks like one spy went on a diet. Here, maybe that'll spread it enough. I don't want to cover up the white that I did because I'm going to have to redo that if I cover it up. That's close. I like it. A little wider. Okay, without going off the edge. A little wider. And make it move on. Because I'll have to do the same thing up there too to match, but that's a smaller window. How's that? Ah, that looks good. We got it. We got it, hot cocoa. We got it. Okay. All right, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Not bad. Let's cross this up here. We good. Okay, yeah, that's done. So I'll show you the first one. And again, any mistakes that are made are going to be covered up anyway. See, guys, over here? Hey? I always remember you guys are the opposite direction. There we go. Let's do the top one. Hi, Mia. Welcome. Guys, I'm starving. I could sure use an ice cream sundae. I got 4 out of 10. I just ate the first 4. Can you guys help me get the other 6? I could sure use an ice cream sundae. Yummy. Yummy for the tummy. Lots of hot fudge. Even have some hot chocolate. We sit down one morning and have hot chocolate together. I like to get back to breakfast with the ghost hunter. That was kind of fun. And we were doing that last year. Looking into all kinds of things. Trying to build up my strength. I'd like to try and do psychic readings during the day and at night too. But I'm just trying to build up my strength for that. It takes a lot of energy. Hi, Cindy. Welcome. We're making shutters for the windows. For the windows. Thank you for the Sunday. Yep, thank you. Thank you, Cindy. I can't sing the song because copyrights. But thank you so much for the Sunday. 5 more to go, gangy. Thank you guys so much for the Sunday. Yum, yum, yum. We like chocolate. We like hot fudge sundaes in this house. That's what's nice about this house. You think you lived up in the mountains. This house has always been quiet. You can't hear the wind. You can't hear the rain. You can't hear nothing. The only room you can hear the wind and rain is the den, because that doesn't have an extra roof of insulation on there. Otherwise, the house is so well insulated, you don't hear it. You don't hear any of that stuff in here. And this room is really one of the soundproof rooms in here. Once that door shut. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here, Cindy, I'll show you what we did. Allow me. Check this out, see? Holiday row, ha, ha, ho, 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 ho. Look at that. We're off with the starting bang with it. Those are going to come down a little lower, too. I'll have to fix that. See, there's my OCD looking at it right now. Going, oh, no, didn't come down low enough. It's all about the toothpicks. There's probably some cake decorating lady watching me on TikTok shaking their head. Or over on the other 2 networks. What is this woman doing? All you need is a squeezy with a pointy thing. You can get that done so easily. What's the fun in easy? What's the fun in that? Life needs complications. All right, but it's too thin right there, huh? Yeah, I gotta make it a little bigger on that side. Then I can continue. Again, mistakes will be covered up. So the rain's supposed to stop. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. Then it's supposed to stop for like 7 days. The only bad thing about these houses is, like I said, this was once river bottom. So we have really good soil. But the problem is, when it rains, it will turn us into a lake, like my backyard, because of it being river bottom. Okay. I found out long ago. Wow, sorry. Wake you up, didn't it? Be back tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, to do tarot card readings. And I'm thinking 2 or 3 o'clock for this tomorrow. See how my day lays out. I don't think I have any errands to run tomorrow. If I do, it's only one. besides, it's raining. I don't want to get trapped in my car. I almost got trapped in my car today. Silly old vehicle. I should do it. It's a bit fat for over here, but we'll see it. Because I didn't want to go that big on the side. Again, no one's going to know anyway. All right, let me do this side now. Thank you for the heart, me, Dorothy. Thank you so much. If you haven't done so already, give me a like, follow, and share, you guys. Give me a like, follow, and share, and let TikTok know we're live. You did the same thing over here on those other two networks. Give me a like, follow, share. Hey, everybody, let your fingers do the walking. So much work, so little time. I found out long ago. Probably get copyrighted on that. I gotta watch what I'm doing. I like music. That's my problem. Anybody see any good movies over the weekend? There we go. I just did a reset. Oh, I just hit a weird button. What the hell did I hit? Okay, there we go. I had a reset over there. Now, the other day when I did the reset, it wouldn't come back. And I was really mad. And then it wouldn't let me log in. Kept telling me my accounts didn't exist. Then when I shut everything down and shut TikTok down and all that, this phone was in the accounts, then that one was back in the accounts. Alice Cooper's song said it best. Welcome to my nightmare. Watch me get in trouble for that. Looking from this side now. See how gummy this is? This is not, like I said, this has to be gel. There's no way this is frosting. That's why it's so gummy. The dog's quiet tonight. I'm surprised. I know the cats will be quiet because they're fed. They'll just sleep now. All right, let's see how that looks. Kind of funky. It's not bad. It's kind of curving this way, but not great. Not bad either. Add a little bit on this side. Just a tad. Now let me look. All right, I like that side. The other side's thin looking, but again, we'll be covering up any mistakes we have. Easy repair. Okay, there we go. That should do it. Now I got a spot that sticks out. See, again, we're losing. Okay, bring it out. Here, how that works. All right, I like it. All right, the bottom one, and then I'll show you guys. So there's where we're at. See, as we get these things, we're knocking these things out slowly but surely. See? Over here. Hey, hello, Hazrat. What's going on, Hazrat? Welcome. Hi, Shirley Klosterman. Hello. All right, 5 more chocolate sundaes to go. Yum. I need more chocolate. I gotta keep going here. I need my chocolate. You guys are too funny. God, I can't believe how quiet the house is tonight. It's a frosting booger. Okay, that works. Now I can spread that a little more. Okay, we put that on this side. Now we'll spread this down. See if I get a good spread on it. Let's put the right size. Okay. I'm going to have to hit both the bottom edges. Yeah, that's the right side right there. Alrighty then. Straighten out the bottom edge right there to the side. This one will be done. And moving on. Clark, what you doing with this old chair here? Oh. Did you know there was another vacation movie made too that nobody really pays attention to? It was Cousin Eddie, Cousin Eddie Takes a Vacation, and he had gone to a tropical island with his wife, and it never got in the theaters. But if you Google it, you'll see it. You can Google it. I don't know what the title is, but I know he's on a tropical. I think it's called Tropical Vacation. But instead of Clark, it's Cousin Eddie. Nice, quiet Sunday night. I have a feeling that the stuff that I'm going to be putting the lights on, that the same frosting or whatever it is that are going to be used for the main lights on here is the same stuff I'm using right now, only it's yellow. Because I'm able to twist this into whatever shape I want as I'm putting it on here. And that's what they're going to want with those lights, because you want to put them on and make them look like little light dots all over the building. Okay, so here we go. All right, so this side of the house is done. See, we got them up there. Remember, any mistakes that are on there, there's going to be lights dotted all over those shutters and everything. So if there's any mistakes, it's going to be covered. You know what I mean? Like this is too high. I can see that already. There we go. That's better. Okay. So yeah, so like I said, any mistakes is going to be covered. Are going to be covered. Not used. There's that. We're kicking butt and taking names tonight. It's almost midnight back east, kids. How you feeling? It's getting up there. Everybody's got to go to work tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoyed your New Year's. I know one of my friends who works with kids was off all week. 2 weeks for Christmas. And she hates to say it, but she was kind of dreading going back. But she's going back tomorrow. I'm going to have to cover that stuff up really good. I'm afraid it's going to go down on me. I'd say we got a lot of progress on this thing tonight. When I used to do this, like last year, I think it was the year before I had the reading show, I used to start at like 6 every night, and we'd all be up. I mean, everybody would be up till like 11, 12 o'clock California time, because we were so involved doing this stuff, trying to get it done. But now, because I'm doing the other show, the readings, it's all different, where we have to get it, like a different time to do this stuff. So much has changed in a year. It's like a friend of mine pointed out, it's the first year that we get to start TikTok, and we're not worried about if TikTok's going to be here or not. Right? Because all of last year, hi Rusty, all of last year, everybody was stressing because rumor had it TikTok was going to shut down, remember? So everybody was nervous. But this year we don't have to worry about that. But there's always the unknown of, what's going to happen to all of us once the US section of TikTok finally kicks in. But as I look at the changes on TikTok, just in the last few months, you can kind of see some of the US changes are already kicking in. On TikTok, some of that stuff's already been implemented. In the new community guidelines. Just like when TikTok content creators get paid, we used to get paid out of Singapore, and now we get paid out of Long Beach or Los Angeles somewhere in Southern California. So that has been changed. So that's already one change. US TikTok. Hi, Talia. How goes it? Good to see you guys. What have we got? 32,000? That's not bad. Not bad for a project night. Not bad at all. So I don't know if I can be seen on the other networks at this point. If I stop to check, it'll be by TikTok. What would I be doing tonight? Just watching TV and probably falling asleep. Usually what my Sunday nights are. When I got up this morning, I couldn't even talk. My voice wasn't working at all. It took until like 1 p.m., like 4 or 5 hours later for my voice to really start working again. I'm not doing any psychic stuff tonight, guys. Sorry. Might not have to give my brain a rest. Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to have at least one night off a week to give my brain a rest. Airplane just flew over. That I heard. So we're building the National Lampoon's Vacation Cookie House. Now there's actually the same place that designed Uncle Eddie's trailer, which we have coming, also has their version of a Lego vacation house, just like this one. The whole set, you get that, you get well, you can buy them separate, but if you want the whole set where you get the house, you get that, you get the family truckster with the Christmas tree, and then you get Uncle Eddie, Uncle Eddie or Cousin Eddie's thing. It's like $71 altogether. And you can build them. Keep saying Uncle Eddie, Cousin Eddie. I'm losing my mind too. No, it's not going the way I want it to. Come down this way. I don't want to do that. Hang on. Ah, there you are. Get you right here. There you go. That's where we want you. Yeah, keep a straight line as possible. There we go. Straight line, Chet. There we go. All right. We'll do the side there. A lot of work. And when we start dropping on those lights, it's going to be row after row after row after row. That's going to be a ton of work. But it should look pretty cool when it's done. This is probably the most complicated one I've ever built in my life, doing this stuff. There we go. Nice and quiet. It's weird how even quiet has a noise. I don't know, my ears being what they are, I do hear like a fuzz in them, a slight fuzz. But it's interesting how quiet has a noise. If you go into like a cave, a deep cave, and let's say you take one of those cave walking tours, when they hit those lights off and show you how quiet it is, and you listen long enough, there's a noise, there's a low hum. That I don't know if the brain puts that hum there so that that there's a sound, so that it can still register. Just like if you go into a pitch black place, like a cave, you'll see the shadow. If you put your hand in front of you, you'll see the shadow of your fingers, and that's because your brain is telling you it's there. So I think maybe it works the same way, but there is like a low hum or a fuzzy sound when there's no sound, like in a house and stuff. I just think it's our brain. How's that look? I gotta go up a little bit more. And then I can do that. I think I was working on this one and then I skipped over. to this one because it bugged me. I was bugged. There we go. Okay, that works. Get back up here. Focus. Focus. Watch out where you're going. Pick 2. 1, 2. Woo-hoo-hoo. But there is a noise. But like that whole thing, like if you go into a cave, I don't know if you guys have ever done like any kind of tours of a cave. I'm not talking spelunking. I always wanted to do that, but then I thought, what if I get stuck? You know what I mean? So I never went spelunking. That's one thing I never did. Now my ex did, but I didn't do that. But anyway, I always thought about that in a cave, and that whole thing about, they turn the lights out in a cave and you see how dark it is in those caves. And imagine being trapped in one without a candle. But you do see things. Your mind will let you see things. And like I said, if you put your hand up after being in the dark for a few minutes, if you put your hand up in front of your face, because your mind knows that you put your hand up in front of your face, you're going to see the shadow from your hand. You're going to see shadows that aren't there. Caves I've been in aren't like the ones back east or down in Mexico. There's stuff back east where you can drive through, or you'll go through in a boat, or drive through in a jeep. The ones up here, you got to walk through. You got to go up and build it. Go down a bazillion steps and come back up a bazillion steps. That's why Grand Canyon Caverns was always the best, because it had an elevator. But like the ones out in my area, you have to go down like Moaning Cave is a spiral staircase that goes down 100 feet, and then you have to come. It's all fine and dandy going down, but then turn around coming back up is what really hurts. I did Shasta Caverns too, and I was having issues coming in and out of that one. That was real thin there. Now, Moaning Caverns up here, reason why they're called Moaning Caverns is when the wind blows, all the stalactites and stalagmites cause a moaning sound. So back in the old days when the farmers were out tending their flocks and everything else out there, they would walk by these holes in the ground, and it sounded like somebody crying or moaning. Now it looks too big on that side. That's why they call them moaning cave. Plus, these caves out here are wet caves, like the one in Calaveras County, like Mercer Cavern, Murphy's Cavern, Mercer Cavern, and California Caverns, and Moaning Cavern. I don't know about California Caverns, but Moaning Cave, I know when it rains, you can't get in there. You got to wait till the end of the rainy season before you can access the caves because it floods. And that was a lot of problems they had with the gold mines out there too, because they had a lot of flooding. They'd have to have huge water pumps to keep that stuff out of the gold shafts, so the guys could get through. Reason I know is I've done a lot of tape tours, and we've had a lot of ghost hunts in those areas, and there's a lot of limestone, a lot of ghost activity. Limestone in water causes EMF. When the water runs through the limestone, it runs over the limestone, it causes an electrical pattern to form, EMF. If you happen to live over one, chances are you're going to see stuff in your house. It's all because of the limestone in the water. Hey, Maya, welcome. All right, double tap that screen, everybody. Likes are free. Likes are free. I wouldn't mind taking you guys into a cave with me. I don't know if the internet would hold up. I don't think they have internet in those caves. But it'd be kind of fun. I haven't done that in a while. But it would be like Grand Canyon because I don't think with my heart failure that it would be a good idea to get down there and then try to walk up the stairs. You know? So it would have to be something like Grand Canyon Caverns or something you drive through, like the ones in Carlsbad, which I've never been to. Something that you take a boat through or dive through. I don't think with my heart, it's a good idea for me to be climbing down. Going down is bad enough, even on a stairwell. But coming back up would be a bear. I think those days are over. And they think the ones in here, like the ones in the gold country here, and they can't prove it, but they think the ones like Morning Cave and California Caverns and Murphy's, they think that they're all linked together at some point there. They end up, because they're totally unexplored. I mean, they've got the first couple miles of them explored. The public goes through there and stuff. But as far as that goes, anything further than that is unexplored. So they think that at some point under the ground, they're all connected. There's like one big anteroom. And they're all connected, is what they think. I don't know. Living in an area like that, I have friends that live out there. I don't know. Maybe it'd be a creepy feeling. Knowing you're living over a cave. I would think it'd be creepy because it would be like you're waiting for the ground to collapse. That's how I would feel. Every time the house shifted, I'd be in panic mode, thinking that the ground was collapsing. But people do live over caves over there, especially. That's a good one, especially in the gold country, because they're literally living over a lot of gold mines and silver mines and stuff. Hello, Cheryl. How goes it? But I miss being able to do stuff like that, like go visit caves. I always wanted to spelunk, but again, I have trouble crawling on my knees because I have painful knees, so I can never really do that. But I don't like tight places all that much. Never knew I didn't like them until I had to do an MRI, and that freaked me out. So I'm not a tight place person, so I don't think I'd be good with caves anymore, like I was when I was young. Just like my mother would go to the Grand Canyon, she didn't like heights, and my dad paid for us to do the walking tour. Oh, he was mad after driving all that way. And my mother, I remember watching her hugging the rock ledge side because she didn't want to be up that high. It freaked her out. Now, she might have gotten over that a little bit over the years because I know when we went to Mount Lassen, she was fine with hiking and crawling down, those trails and stuff. There was no problem there. But I mean, Grand Canyon totally blew her mind. If you've ever done Grand Canyon, they have a trail you can walk, the rim trail, that you can walk along the rim. And I don't know if it's wider now because, that was so long ago. But at that time, it was probably about 10 feet wide. And you could go right to the edge and look down, and look straight. And my mother just about, oh my God, she was beside herself. Didn't like it one bit. Because I remember I was like towards the edge with my dad. And I remember looking over because my mom was off to my right when we were like walking on that trail. She freaked. I'm not a heights person anymore either. Even though I didn't mind, like I said, when I was kind of hiking in Mount Lassen and stuff, it didn't bother me, but I've discovered I don't like heights. And I think it's because I have those balance issues. If I didn't have those balance issues like I do, I don't think I would mind the heights because I never used to. I was the one that always got the cool assignments to go up with the Highway Patrol helicopter and, and fly with the medical ambulances and all that stuff, and the sheriff's department and all that, because I didn't mind the heights. But now, because of my balance issues, I'm afraid of tripping and falling and stuff, Till I need get up on the rim of the Grand Canyon and lose my balance, Or even fishing. I was talking to my brother-in-law about that, like off the jetty. Like I want to go to take you guys to Berkeley Pier, go fishing. But I got to make sure this dizziness thing I have goes away. I don't want to be standing on the edge of the dock and lean forward to grab my fishing line and then have a dizzy spell kick in. So I've had to rethink how I function. It's too fat down there. We'll fix it. It's like the too fat polka. You can have her. I don't want her. She's too fat. Never mind. For me, Bobby Vinton. There we go. So I really had to rethink how I do things and how I used to do things. That's why what I would like to do at the Grand Canyon Caverns now, I don't know if they still have it open, but they actually have a hotel in the cavern. They used to. And you'd pay, I don't know, like $400 or $500 a night. And they actually had a little restaurant where they would feed you food and everything down there. And you could actually spend the night in the cave itself. And I know Ghost Adventures did that. I think it was Ghost Adventures. Spent the night in the Grand Canyon. Spent the night in Grand Canyon Caverns. That would be cool. There's caves up here that'll take you up on overnighters if you want to go. In the summers. But I know Grand Canyon Caverns. I don't know if they have it open still, but they used to have it open to where you could actually go down there and stay overnight. Imagine what it was like at night when you went to sleep. I'm sure they had other lighting in there, for the hotel guests. They would have to. But imagine waking up in the middle of the night to just pitch blackness. And talk about having to use the restroom. Think about this. There's water dripping all the time in those caves, right? Because they're wet caves. Now, again, I don't know about Grand Canyon Caverns, but the ones up here are wet caves. So imagine yourself laying there at night in the dark, and all you hear is drip, drip, drip over and over. That's going to make you want to go to the bathroom. You're going to have to get up in the pitch black, go find the bathroom, do your business, and come back. Hi, Vibe. How's it going? So, I mean, that's something to consider. But I wouldn't mind, maybe if they still have those, we could do that. That would be something we could do. Stay overnight. That one has an elevator, so I'd be all about that one. Just to stay overnight at Grand Canyon Caverns. Be kind of cool. If they still did that. I don't see a lot of people reporting on it. A lot of news people going out and doing it. So I don't know if they still do it. All right, so we did this side here. This is done. The second side of the house. Close enough for government work. Because like I said, we're going to be putting other stuff on this as well. So it looks like that. Okay. I have a bad feeling this frosting is old. But we'll go with that. I mean, we could always turn around and create our own. If it falls apart like the other one, I could always go get some frosting and create gray frosting. It's no biggie. That's why the Lord invented Pillsbury and Duncan Hines. All right, so let's work on a couple more things before we call it. It's 9:20. It's kind of 9:21 right now. So we're doing good tonight. We're pretty much like if I was doing the readings, this is where the time we'd be at. So let's I could do this one. It's bigger. Let's do this one. Let's do this big one. I think this is part of the attic. See it? So it's looking. I like the way it's looking right now. I really do. And then I thought about just, while we're doing this one, to leave everything up for the projects and just do the readings in there. But then there's not a lot of room in there for me to move around, for doing readings. Totally different setup. I love it. My little vitamins and my Imodium sitting here. It keeps getting caught in this stuff. There's a wildlife park I was trying to film in. There's a little wildlife park out here. And they don't have a lot of animals. I don't even know if they're open anymore. I heard they were having problems. But you would stay in these safari tents. High-tech ones with bathrooms, electricity. But you stay in these safari tents, and the animals walk up to your tent and stick their heads in, or they'll come around once a night before you go to bed with a lion, things like that. But the giraffe are out there. You can see the giraffe roaming. I always wanted to do that, and I never did. That was part of my other show, the California Adventure. That we always wanted to do that stuff and just never had the time because then my mom and dad got old and they got sick and, every time just that 15 years that I was taking care of them just really zapped everything, all those plans. And then I got sick right after my dad passed away is when I got diagnosed with heart failure because of all the stress I'd been under. So everything got swatted away from me really fast. But I was trying to get into that place to do some stuff and to film and do a show in there. And this was before TikTok. And here's something to think about too. This was before there was TikTok, okay? I was doing this stuff. The Napa Valley Wine Train we did an older gentleman that used to build his own model, designed and build his own model railroad, stuff like that. It was before TikTok. That's a Green Acres window. Look, now that I have that on there, look at how I did it. Look at the white on the window. Do you see that? It's like the Green Acres. Green Acres is a place for me. Far living is a life for me. Land spreading out so far and wide. Probably get copyright trouble today. Yeah, it looks like the Green Acres house. But anyway, I would have liked to do that safari. I forget what it was called, but I always wanted to do it. A lot of stuff got put on hold, When my dad got really bad, sick-wise, I even I retired. I quit my job to take care of my family. I was doing freelance. Oh, Kathy, I have an answer for you about your orb versus anomaly. I'll have to write it all down. But I did my book thing today with Mary Muter, who's a PhD. She had a really good explanation for that stuff, and I'm gonna have to go back and watch the replay on it so I can give you the answer. She had an excellent answer. Because that's the first thing. I don't know if she was reading my mind or what, but she doesn't believe in that stuff. But that's the first thing she started talking about this morning was, what's really an orb versus being an anomaly. Okay, let me get on this side now. But I'm so happy to be with you guys. I'm so happy to be with all you guys. I'm breathing. I'm alive and kicking. I'd like to get one more trip into Disneyland before I, you know. And if I do, I'm planning. I was hoping this year sometime maybe I might get lucky. We'll see. But I'll take you guys with me. Because originally, when I decided to become a content creator, it was all about Disneyland. I went on my trip and I did some content creation when I was there. And then I had attended if everything worked out, if my health had worked out. I was probably going to go back, try and get a year pass and go back several times a year, to do it. Kind of like what Disney Sister Rome's doing right now. She goes back several times a year, goes to the park. That's kind of what I wanted to do, but my health didn't, work out. So I'm with you guys. Okay, so this one is done right here. This is a little short one. And again, any mistakes are going to be changed when we put the other lights on. So no matter how crappy it looks, it'll look better, It'll all get covered up. I have a lot of dreams, and it's like we talk about this during my psychic show. If we don't have dreams, guys, then once you lose sight of your dreams and everything else turns terrible. Hi, Coley. You got to have dreams, because if you don't have dreams, you got nothing to look forward to. That's what pushes us along. We get a job and we want to become a supervisor, right? So we're going to learn that job over and over and over. We're going to learn everything about that job so we can get promoted. It's a dream. I want to get promoted. I want to have a company car. I want to make extra money. I want to do this. I want to do that. That's what the dream is all about. And that's why we need these, just like with me. I want to get to a point where I go to Disneyland again. That's a dream for me to try and get to that point. Whoa, 4 more of those to go. 4 more Sundays. Can you help me out with my chocolate sundaes? Yeah. So I did this window with the extra tiny little windows. See it? So we did that one. So we'll move on to something else. Hi, Susan. But that's why we have dreams. I mean, that's what it's all about. The whole having dreams thing. If I have a friend that doesn't believe in dreams. I mean, she says she stopped dreaming years ago because she's sick of life. And it's not. It's just someone I know that I've known for a long time, and it's sad because if you don't have dreams, then you have nothing left. There's nothing for you to think about what you want to be. That's why Disneyland or Disney and things like that, and the people that don't like Disney, and I understand why, but I think Disney is so crucial to everything, and fantasy movies. Like the 1930s, for instance, when people were so broke, and they started coming up with those Busby Berkeley musicals and stuff to make people forget about being broke, so they could go to the movies and enjoy themselves. That's what that was all about, and that's why you got to have dreams. You dream of being up on that screen. Elvis wanted to be Tony Curtis. That was his idol. I mean, that's what he dreamed about. So you got to have these dreams, and that's what it's about. And I have a lot of dreams, and hopefully some of them come true and some don't. Thank you so much for the cake. Thank you. But I mean, that's what it's all about, is to have those dreams. Because if you lose your dreams, there's just nothing left. Just like when I go to Disneyland, people go to Disneyland, they see the rides, they see Pinocchio, they see all this. I see Walt Disney. I get where Walt Disney was going with this and how wonderful it must have been with all the dream he had, to build his production company and all that. But to walk in and see it come to life, you know what I mean? To walk in that park and see the castle and see the stuff that he had come to life, and to ride those rides and then just to see it must have been just an incredible feeling. Or Jurassic Park. Think of that. Universal, has Jurassic Park at the park, where you have the ride. Steven Spielberg. Those guys must go crazy when they go to those parks because they're seeing that stuff built up. And whether you like it or not, whether you like, Disney owning Star Wars or whatever, but George Lucas wanted Disney because Disney is all about dreams and special effects. He's been working with Disney for years. Imagine what he thought when Star Tours came out, or when that new Rise of Resistance came out. He got to get on the ride, and they had the AT-ATs are there, and all the Imperial guys are there. I mean, he must have thought it was fantastic. There's his dream right there being played out. So that's why we need our dreams. Because maybe someday you'll be that person who has their dream played out in some fashion or other. Thank you. Thank you for the sparks cake, Miss Robin. By the way, my P.O. box will be here next week, Miss Robin. I'll have a P.O. box. I've only had a P.O. box once before in my life, and that's when I had a direct mail advertising business. A dream is a wish your heart makes, right? How that song goes. I remember, coming from a half Mexican family, because I'm Hungarian for my other half. And I remember my friend, producer now, gave me tickets to go see some mariachis. And she was wondering why I was in tears watching these mariachis. And the reason is because they came from the same town as my grandmother. And it was very emotional for me to see these mariachis that were from her town playing the old music, And that's the same person who doesn't believe in the dream thing. But it was like all the emotions of, from not having my grandmother around anymore, but seeing those mariachis just rolled up on me and came up on me. And it wasn't sad. It was just a happy emotion of seeing those mariachis. And like I said, the fact that they were from the town she grew up in. And I never had a chance because I was the youngest kid in the family. Like my older sister and brother, they got to live with my grandmother for a while. They really knew my grandmother. I never got that chance. She lived here, but I was just a little kid. And my grandmother spoke Spanish. So I really never got to know my grandmother in that way, like they did. So I kind of lost out on it, and it was sad. But I mean, that emotion that came with seeing those guys from Michoacan, and the little town that she grew up in, was super emotional for me. Now my grandfather, the Hungarian side, we went to Hungary twice. We went to my grandfather's town where he grew up, thatched roofs and everything, just like stepping back in time, So I got to see his background, where I never went to Mexico to see my grandmother's background. And that whole thing with Michoacan, that whole thing in Hungary was an experience, I'll tell you. They were still doing things the old ways then. In fact, you'd be driving down the road. I was only like 10 the first time and 13 the second time. But you'd be driving down the road and you'd have to hit the brakes because there'd be an ox cart with hay on it, and my poor dad would have to hit the brakes. And the car did not hit to take the ox cart out. And what was interesting with that too is they had little churches on the side of the road, just little tiny churches. Maybe one or two people could be in these churches, and they were for the people that were out, tending the flocks or working the fields. so that they could go to church if they needed to go to church. Or I would think if it started raining and they were outside, tending the fields, I would think that they'd be an escape where they could go. But they had these little churches by the side of the road, which was cool. But it was the first place I really saw thatched roofs. And that was the old town, like I said, where my grandfather grew up. All right, this one's done pretty much. That's it. But a lot of thatched roofs in there, living out of wells. It's the first time I ever learned about wells. I never looked at a well in my life. And I looked down this well and there's all kinds of animals in there, frogs and, things swimming around. And I looked at my dad and I went, I'm not drinking this water. And then my dad says, well, I'll tell you what, if there weren't those frogs and stuff swimming around in there, you wouldn't want to drink that water anyway. So of course I drank. But the thatched roofs. And then they also have, my dad's got it on film, where the cows would go out to the field every day. One guy was the designated guy to take them out. So the first thing in the morning, you hear the whips go off, and he would take the cows out. But when they came home, you'd hear the whips too. Woohoo! 2 more to go for Ice Cream Sundays. Can you guys help me? Thank you. And what you would see is the cows would come home and they knew where to go into their yards. And it was just the one guy that brought them home, right? He would come in with whipping that whip, and he'd be on the side of them or off to the back of them, and they knew exactly. The other farmers would leave their gates open, and these cows knew exactly where to turn and where to go in, which was really cool, And my dad's got a video of this, every night, 6 o'clock or whatever, 5 o'clock, these cows would come home, which was really cool. So I saw a lot, over the years over in Hungary. I spent time in England with my cousins. I had cousins that escaped during the revolution over there, the Russian Revolution. And they escaped to England, and they had a bunch of stories about taking the babies and hiding under bridges and putting cotton in the babies' mouths or putting some in the babies' mouths so the babies wouldn't scream, so they could escape the Russians and get to England. So I have family over in London and England and all that area, and heard those stories and met that family. So it's been an interesting ride life-wise. Okay, let me get this other one. And then there's like 6 more of the bigger windows to do. And then I'll have all the windows done, as far as that goes with the shutters. Because it's going to get to the point where once I get these shutters done, and then I'm going to try and double coat the front steps so that you can tell those front steps. Once that gets done, then we're going to be going. It's going to be really tedious. Because the only other thing we can do is put the house together, which we're not going to do until we're fully painted. Okay, I mean, I don't see a way to do that. There's no logical way to do this until I can get everything on that I need. And then the only other thing that we have to do is to put the little Christmas light candies around the outer edges, the roof and stuff. Hi, Snow Queen, welcome back. I have one person over here watching, I hope. Hope people can see me. This whole thing is getting to be a drag with it going off all the time and people not being able to see on that end or here. But anyway, yeah, so back to the mariachi. So that's why I was really emotional with seeing that, because I never got to go back to Mexico to see my grandmother's roots, where I got to go to Hungary with my grandfather to see where he grew up. The town. I met my great aunt, and things like that. So that was nice. And my dad passed, and I could go back. I have slides. My dad was a photo nut. So I've got a closet full of slides with all those trips. England, everything. Went to France. And the funny thing is, Back then, I hated photography. I hated cameras. I hated everything about it. And the reason was my dad was a fiend. So he had like 3 or 4 different cameras, movie cameras, you name it. And he was one of these people that if you were sleeping in bed, he was going to get an embarrassing picture of you and post it where everybody could see, in the house. So we hated it. We hated it. And you see us traveling. And my mother had like 2 cameras around her neck. I had like 2 cameras around my neck. He had 2 cameras around his neck. It was insane. And I swore up and down I would never touch a camera. And look how my life has changed. I ended up becoming a photojournalist. Ended up shooting travel videos. I'm a content creator on TikTok. So, famous last words. And then I did something that my dad always dreamed of. See, that's the other thing. Your parents, not all parents, but some parents raise their kids hoping that they can do better than they did. That's the whole thing. And in my dad's case, when he was growing up in Cleveland, that was the years when they still had the dirigibles flying. Like the Navy blimps and all that stuff. And he would see these dirigibles. And he said that he was an airplane nut. So they used to get on their bikes and they'd ride 4 miles a day, take lunches, and they would go down the airstrip, whether it was the airport or by the military base or wherever it was, and they would watch the airplanes and see what was coming in and out. Well, he always wanted to fly a military plane. Never got a chance, even when he was older. But as the story goes, he loved Zeppelins. He loved reading the story about the Hindenburg, and all that stuff. And again, back when he was young and when he was in the Coast Guard, they had Navy blimps. Anyway, so not the Coast Guard, but the Navy. When I got older, as a reporter and a freelance reporter, I got to do a couple of things that my dad was so proud of me for. And to this day, there's still footage. I was able to go up in the Goodyear blimp. And I remember the day I did that and how proud my dad was. They let him drive the car on the field because he couldn't walk at that point. So they allowed him to drive the car onto the field. And he shot video, Super 8 back then, Super 8, and his Kodak Super 8 camera. But they let him shoot Super 8 of me getting on and off. And they actually allowed me to have the camera to flash it around the inside so he'd have the footage. And he was so thrilled because, like I said, one of his dreams in life had been to go up on a blimp, and he never got to. So I made sure I took a lot of pictures. Back then, we didn't have video. It wasn't like it is now where you can put video online, just straight newspaper stuff. And I remember when I got on there, and the guys were so nice. People from like Fox 40 and all the different TV stations in town. I was in college, and it was my first trip, and they knew it. And they said, "Don't worry about it. Go sit in the front seat, in the co-pilot seat." So I got to sit in the co-pilot seat on the Goodyear blimp and fly all over this area. And there was a window on that side that is open, and so I was able to lean out that with my camera and get really good photos. Hey, Vixo. But I got to fly in the co-pilot seat of the Goodyear blimp, which was fun. And my dad, when I got down, this is what I mean. My reaction to my grandmother, that music and those guys that came, those mariachis that came from where my grandmother was. I get off the Goodyear blimp and my dad's in tears because that's something he always wanted. And he was so proud that I got to do it. Second time that happened with my dad was the old airplanes were here for the air show. And they were visiting. And I was able to get a press flight from Stockton on a B-29 bomber back to this airbase over here, this former airbase. And my dad was just thrilled. I had to get a ride out to Stockton because my dad wasn't driving that far. But he did pick me up at the airport when I landed over the air base when I landed over here. But I got to ride the B-29. I got to get in the gutter spot, take photos, and do all that stuff. So that was another thing. I get off the plane, my dad's in tears because that's something he always dreamed of doing, was flying on the B-29. Now, he had a pilot's license at one point for like a Cessna. But then once he got married and stuff, he gave it up because he had kids to raise and all that. But he had gotten his pilot's license. But that was one of his dreams. And so I fulfilled two of his dreams for him. And believe it or not, your parents, if there's anybody younger out there listening tonight, which I doubt, but your parents have similar dreams. And sometimes just by doing stuff, you can fulfill those dreams for them. And I did for my father. Have I jumped out of an airplane? Yes, I have. That was not a dream. That was an assignment. I have jumped tandem. Will I do it again? Never. Because right at that moment is when I realized I didn't like heights. It reminded me of those falling dreams that we have at night. The second we left the airplane, and the guy kept going, "You're gonna love this. Spread your arms out. Do all this stuff." I was just like, I'm just going to run the camera. I'm so done. I'm not commenting. Just get me down in one piece. So that was the end of that. That was the first and last time I ever jumped out of an airplane. There, we got this window down. See it? That one's done now. So I've had a decent, exciting life over the years. Like having to go interview the guy that collected rattlesnakes, from private properties. That was exciting. And I don't like snakes. Just like I don't like bees either. I always had a thing with bees where they would chase me when I was a kid. And sure enough, I get the assignment, go cover the local beekeeper. And I go out there, I'm dressed in black. Nobody tells me that when you dress in black, bees are going to be more attracted to you. Till I get out there and I got all these bees all over me. And the guy says, "Oh, you shouldn't have worn black." And I looked at him and I said, "Why is that?" And he says, "Because they're going to be all over you." So I politely and covered the story, even as terrified as I was. I didn't get stung once. I got lucky. But would I do it again? Yeah, in a bee suit. You're not going to get me out there without a bee suit. Okay, so we're going to do the back of the house because this is what we're down to. We got really far tonight. Look at, so we got we got 6 windows left to do for the back of the house, which is cool. I mean, we got a real good distance tonight, really good distance. And tomorrow, like I said, what we have left tomorrow is pretty much, start working on those white light things, because we can't hang the Christmas lights on here until it's put together and the roof's on. So we're going to start dabbing the white lights. And the trick of it all is going to be, too, because this is like several parts. So the trick of this is going to be to line it up while I'm working on it. Like, this is going to have, for instance, the doorway is going to have, I think, this part on top of the doorway. That's going to sit on top of the doorway, because that's what I think is up above it. Excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across. Yeah, see? Whoa, why is there 6 across the top? Wait a minute. There's the short window. There's the 5. Okay, it's showing another window right here. It's got to be that single window right there or something. Somewhere there's a single window. That might be the one that goes on the end over here. See, I'm showing 2 large windows at this end. on this. Huh, hang on. Oh yeah, here's this. This is what I'm looking at right now. This is this going across from the first 2 floors. So there should be another, no, that's not it. It's this one. So this is one wall. This is the bottom wall on the left. All this. So this is the back, and then you've got the two sides, and then you've got a couple more in other places. All right, so I know where we're at. So the idea would be is we're going to have to line. Well, I'm not going to sit here and stress over this tonight, but we're going to have to line those little light dots up all the way up, like up the side here, and then up the attic too. Not the attic, but the roof, because the roof hangs over, so the lights would have to line up. So we'll see how that works out. Okay, let's do these other windows. Who else is out there? I got 2 of you. Cool. All right, let's do these other windows. Then we'll call it a night. Time 9:53. Yeah, we're pretty much on the normal time that we would be on anyway doing this, doing our usual. But at least tonight it was more, I didn't have to use my brain so much. Because it is tiring. People don't realize for psychics doing that kind of work, it's very tiring. And it drains you. Especially if you get someone who comes in and sucks your energy. And a lot of people don't realize they're sucking your energy. They don't know any better. Like the other night, for instance, and I know who it was, so I was aware of it. But I can feel my arm. My arm will go to sleep. My right arm will go to sleep when I've got somebody in my space. And then I had a real bad side ache. And it got to the point where I was really tired. Then once that person left the room, which they did eventually, I felt fine. But there's been nights like last weekend where I took a hit, didn't know it, and didn't realize it. And I was sitting there, and I was doing readings, and I almost fell asleep doing the readings. And then when I got done, I was going to have my usual Sunday pizza and all that for dinner. Well, I sat down, and I ended up waking up at 4 a.m. Happens all the time. And not just me, it happens to other psychics too. That's not just a me thing. So you have to be really careful when you're doing this stuff. Because people will invade your space and not know they do it. And so a lot of people will feel bad afterwards. But people do that. I have a friend that will suck you dry. And last night, the night before that last is the night that I felt it hit. But it wasn't that bad because once I realized what was going on, I put the brakes on it right away. But like I said, it's a lot of energy. And so when you see psychics, generally, we'll come on every day if we can. But then there's days that you're not going to see us because we just have to have a day where our minds don't have to think about that stuff. Where we can just do normal things. And there's nothing wrong with it. You have questions, you like answers. And a lot of psychics, I know they can't even go to the mall without somebody asking them a question. You know what I mean? So sometimes people forget too that psychics are human too. That we do need that time off to decompress. But then without you guys, we'd be nothing, right? So that's us, having to sit down and just set our own limits for ourselves. Okay, I think this one's done. I can move the other one now. And yeah, that's not too bad. Not bad at all. Okay. And again, any mistakes are going to get covered up right away. So, and I got to glue that other end too onto the one that broke off, that piece that broke. But yeah, if you ran into a psychic, and I'll get this sometimes towards the end of the night, and somebody will ask me a question, and I'm just so tired that I will not answer the question. I'll either ignore it or I'll say flat out, hey, look, I can't come back tomorrow. I can't do that question tonight. I'm just too fried right now. But this is what Sunday nights for me are supposed to be, is to either do something like this or just brainlessly watch TV and not do anything at all. So that my mind can rest. All right, how many more to go on those? We got 2 more to go on the ice cream sundaes. I just got another one. Thank you. Who pinned a comment? You can do puzzles. Yeah. I do puzzles. I do Legos. I do projects like this. Wow, 2 more Sundays to get my goal. Can you guys help me out with that? 2 more Sundays to get to 10. Can you help me out? Yeah, puzzles are very good that way. Legos. Anything that's mindless. Like this right now. This is mindless. What I'm doing right now is what I call mindless. Like when I was working as a reporter, and newsrooms are so busy, you guys. And I remember that we had a running joke in the newsroom that when the weekends came, we never answered the phone or anything. And the running joke we had was, okay, I'm going to be at home for the next 2 days, sitting in front of my TV, letting the drool drip. Literally letting the drool drip. Because that's what it was, because we were on the run so much and answering phones left and right that you get to that point where you just want to sit there and just literally just veg. But yeah, I have to do mindless things on Sunday night. So I'll do my book read generally for you guys, at like 6 to 7. And then I'll have my piece of pizza. And then I'll just sit there and chill for the night. Just watch TV and do my thing. And do nothing. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just trying to put my mind back in a good spot for Monday. We made good progress tonight. But like I said, now we're down to the point where I want to try and layer the front steps. But we're down to the point now where we're going to start laying those yellow lights. Not the well, they're off-white lights, but still the main lights on here. Row after row after row. Good to see you, Vixo. So does anybody have any New Year's resolutions? Resolutions, not revolutions. Does anybody have any resolutions they want to share? Class. 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 I think I already blew through mine. I chose some New Year's resolutions, and I'm so done right now with them. Didn't take long. Hi, Maui. How goes that? Now that's my dream, to do readings, sit in the water in Hawaii, and watch the world go by. There's my pipe dream. Aloha. Wiki to the beach. Problem is, if I'm in my bathing suit, there's going to be a whale alert, man. Big old whale alert. Not bad for a first try. But I'm not complaining. I enjoy doing this and doing readings for you guys, or I wouldn't do it. Don't want too much, but we have that there. You hear it hitting itself in the middle. So far, my internet's held up. Usually, at least once a month, like around the first week of the month, they'll shut down because they're doing loving yourself. Okay, Molly, good. That's important. That's very important. That works. I think I did one. I probably already broke it to cut back on chocolate. That lasted only one day. I haven't done any real heavy duty ones. I think like with this what I'm doing with you guys, it's more of a business plan kind of thing, and than a resolution. It's keeping things on track and trying to stick to it, like we did really good this past year. Everything right now is where I thought it would be. I just had a cool breeze go by. Must have company. So with what I'm doing right now, exactly with what I'm doing right now, is how we're going to how I'm going to end up putting the regular Christmas lights on this thing. You know those white lights? They're all going to go on like what I'm doing right now, by hand. See, here's where we're at so far on this. I got 3 more. There's the last 3 windows to do. See that? I keep forgetting I got to go that way for TikTok. I got the last 3 windows going right now. Then let them dry, like I said. And I'll work on the front steps to see if we can't make more of a 3D effect with them. Glue that one piece on there and then get ready to start slapping yellow Christmas lights on here. Glad you guys came for a visit tonight. Thank you all for coming in. Ooh, I have some popcorn left. What did I have for lunch? I'm trying to think if I had salty lunch, I can't eat the popcorn. I gotta feed the dog too when I get done. Get her fed and then munch on a little bit of popcorn and call it a night. Come off of that. There we go. Watch a little Drain the Oceans. I like it because I can hear right now too, so I have to take advantage of it to watch TV. The people don't sound like they're underwater right now. But again, I did buy a gingerbread house yesterday for Valentine's Day. And maybe if they still have them on Wednesday, I can run over there and see and pick the same house up for St. Patrick's Day. Hey, Southern Pearl, how goes it? Okay, this should be enough to do the top off on this now to get this where I need it. I like it. The house is all quiet. I wish it was this quiet all the time. Maybe I go in and a cat can see me, he'll start screaming. And the dog's cute because when I was working with the cats, because my big black cat likes to escape because it's dark in there when I'm working. And he waits till I bend a certain way and then he jumps out of his area. And so my dog sits there like she's on patrol. Because when he jumps out, she gets right in front of him and then he runs back in. Not bad, not bad. Next. Yeah, not bad at all. Moving right along. See, there's that one now we just did. So we did that one. And I lost my camera over here. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Let me do a reset. As soon as it comes in. There we go. That would be the third reset of the night. That really irritates me. Okay. I think it's that other one timing out. I don't think it's restream timing out. Book of, well, you know what I'm saying. It's Book of that's doing it. Good to see you, Vixo. Have you heard from R? You know? You heard anything from R? R. Trying to get some of this down so I can work on it. 10, 12. All right, we're just about right for timing tonight. All right, guys, I'll be back at 3 p.m. Pacific tomorrow to start doing the regular Christmas lights on this thing that we have to do, and then kind of work on the front steps to make them more 3D. So as soon as I finish these last two windows, that's going to be it for tonight on this one. Let it dry overnight. And then we'll be in a good position to start doing part by part so we can start putting the walls up and everything on this. And the other one has the roof on, so as soon as we're done with this one, we can jump back on that other one and get the roof done, and put the parts on that fell off with the stupid frosting. And we'll get all that one done and get that one off the door. And we still have Christmas. I still have a couple Christmas projects for us to do. And then, of course, I'll start buying stuff for the Valentine's house. And we'll be ready to do that one for February. Well, that didn't come out too badly. Okay, so not bad, not bad, not bad. That came out quite good for doing it for a quick try. This was my brother's bedroom growing up. And then it became my dad's office, and then it became my office, my first office, and then it became my mother's bedroom because it's the warmest room in the house. God, is it too? Ghosties, don't you touch these. I'll be very unhappy if you break this one down. Play nice, ghosties. Imagine how slow the first time we did this, when we did the initial front on this thing, how slow it was until I figured out easier ways to do this. Because I am moving a lot faster than I did. All right, let's do that. Then we'll fix the sides and we're done. So again, probably about 3 o'clock tomorrow, thereabouts. We'll be back to doing this for a while. And then, hi, Mary. And then at 6:30, 6:45 p.m. Pacific, we'll be right back doing readings, okay? And yeah, we'll just keep it going. Keep it around and keep it going. Because I think I have one errand to run tomorrow is all. I'm going to get it super early and get it run. Because again, I can't get in and out of my car when it's raining very well, and I don't want to get stuck or trapped in my car. In fact, like when I couldn't get out of the gas station, I was going to honk for the gas station attendant or wait for somebody to show up to get gas to get me out of my car. But it didn't happen. I was able to do it. Just like at the dollar store, I couldn't get out. I couldn't open my door, so I was going to flag down the security guy to open my door for me. But that worked out too. And when I got home, same thing. And now I'm finding that it's sticking on just cold days. It used to be just rainy days it would stick, but now it wants to stick on cold days. So that's an issue for the winter. Okay, well, it looks like that's almost too tall on top. Make an adjustment, and that's going to do it. I'll just push it down right there. There we go. Push that side down, and we're good to go. There we go, right there. Now I did that, it went off to the side. Story of my life. Just put a small smidge right there. But this right here is how those lights are going to have to go on. A dream is a wish your heart makes when you're fast asleep. Oh, that's almost perfect. Cap it off like right there. Straighten it out a little bit. Straighten this out. Okay, there it is. I'll show you the wall. This is the back wall of the house. And there it is with all the shutters. We got all the shutters on the house put in. And there it is. Now, the thing I want to look at really quick is I have another wall in here. I want to make sure I got everything. That's roof. This is part of the roof here. And those are windows, I think. I think those are the windows that when he was trying to yell at the family, remember when he was trying to yell at the family? It was out of those kind of windows. So I need to look at those real quick. But other than that, that's it for tonight. So I want to take a look at those real quick. But that's going to do it for tonight, you guys. See, it's not showing me those windows, which means they're probably on the back wall. Pre-made icing. It's supposed to be gray icing. Squeezy make decorating easy. Oh, yeah, good luck with that. Easy build icing. I'll believe that when I see it. White sanding, sugar Christmas lights candy. Green gummy trees. I have no idea where that other wall goes. I'm thinking it's the back somewhere. So the roof has to have white on it before you do anything else. Just trying to see if I see those anywhere. And where they would be, but I'm not seeing them. I'll have to find somebody online that's built this. All right, well, that's going to do it for tonight then. I'll have to find somebody online that has built this so I can see what this is, you know? So, ceremonial, we do this every night at the end of the night. So let me do this. Let me pull out the frosting. Excited to do this every night. Everybody does this, and you know you want to do it. Don't tell me you don't. So here we go. Got a whole thing of frosting here. Where'd my spoon go? Where's my spoon? There it is. All right, everybody, here we go to end the night. Cheers. Let me get a nice glob here. You know you guys want to do this, so here we go. Cheers, everybody. Vanilla frosting. All right. And don't tell me you don't want to do that, okay? So that concludes tonight's broadcast. Tomorrow we'll start working on stuff. Might even be able to start putting the white on the roof, you know, to make a snowy roof and stuff. Doing things like that. But that's going to do it. And that's all the gray. I don't need any more gray. So that's supposed to be frosting. That's pretty old frosting. I'm afraid we're going to have issues with it. Maybe not, though. So what I'm going to do is close this off. And I got to get a baggie. I'm putting a baggie. Go grab a baggie and put it away. So thank you so much, everybody. It's always a pleasure. So we know how far we are on this now. We've come so far in the last 3 or 4 days, last 2 days. 3 or 4, 2 days. I want to leave it all on here. I'll clean it up in the morning to make sure, you know, it dries and all that properly. So that's going to do it. I'll show you the roof pieces. I think this is a roof piece. And we got extra roof pieces that go the other way because it's a weird build. And there's another big roof piece like this. So that's going to do it. So I hope you had fun in our little chat. I wish I could play music, but there's no way I could play music except for TikTok, and the other networks not having it. Okay, so couldn't do it. Anyway, TikTok, thank you so much. Always good to see you guys. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the 8 chocolate sundaes. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Oh, no, maybe at 5, like I said, 3 p.m. Pacific for this, and then 6:30 p.m. Pacific for our regular readings. Okay, so we'll be back at 3 p.m. to work some more on this project, and then again back at 6:30 p.m. Pacific to do tarot card readings. Okay, so it's good seeing you guys. Thank you. Have a great rest of your evening. Come on back and see me. Okay. Good night, TikTok. Maybe doesn't want to go. Go away, TikTok. There we go. How many of you? 12 are out there watching. All right, everybody. Thank you. That's not good. Usually it's up by now. That's not good. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye over here. I don't know why this isn't doing what it's supposed to do. Thank you. That was irritating. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much. And tomorrow, like I said, 3 p.m. Pacific, we'll come back on and work on some more. But we got a lot done tonight. And then if you want to come on over for a free tarot card reading, come on over to TikTok at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, and we do a free readings. But thank you all so much. And shame we can't have music, you know what I mean? But it's one of those things. All right, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.